Black Cat pastor dashing through pages. Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages. Leviticus, laws to pause, find phrases. Turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Songs singing sweet, unbroken lines. Hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the never blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. See, my hair's a little bit of a flop there today. There we go. Glad to have you here. Tip of the cap, Galaxy. Tip of the cap. And a spot of tea. Earl Grey. Oh, wait. Not Earl Grey today. I went with the English breakfast. It's nice and rich and dark. Oh, I love a good tea in the morning. You know, it's probably easier to count the number of days in a year I don't start my day with tea than it is to count the days where I start with tea. Even on vacation, I will do my best to start with tea. Sometimes the tea is just sus. You know, it's a old bag of Lipton that may have been around since I was born, that they've been hiding in the back with the tea dust, and I'm not sure my water deserves that. So I'll go with coffee then. I'm not opposed to coffee. I just start with tea. Coffee is for the afternoon, which I apparently have all that backwards because afternoon is tea time, but it's usually when I drink my coffee. So who knows? Who knows who's right? Maybe I'm just getting my tea in the morning because it is tea time in jolly old England. So right now would be getting ready for tea time in the afternoon, perhaps, and I've just got it correct. Not based on my time zone, but on Greenwich Mean Time. Maybe that's the trick. And how you have coffee, after dinner. I'm having it in the afternoon before dinner because I'm in the wrong time zone. Maybe I've got it all figured out. I've just secretly been doing it right all these years. Hey, anyway, welcome in. Welcome in. Good to see you, Galaxy. Love having you here, as always. Thanks for lurking. Let's take a look at the fishies. I did notice I got a baby koi not doing so well. Not doing so well in there. And I think they're getting hungry and hungry. I think I have to up my feeding level on them. Gonna have to do another water change with the guppies to try to get that. The sunrise is beautiful. Oh, let's see what's going on out here. They're all circling. Did the feeder just go? No, it doesn't look like it. They're chasing the little guy for some reason. Or follow. Maybe they're playing follow the leader. Maybe they're playing follow the leader. I don't know. Little odd behavior there. It's always tea time over here in England. Yes it is. Yes it is. What is your favorite tea, Galaxy, if you have one? Prime Days. Prime Days are the next 2 days. So that's what I'll be exploring is what new tea can I order off of Prime Days and try it. Because usually Prime Days have sales. So I buy more expensive tea that I don't want to drink every day. I buy a more expensive one and you drink that for a couple of months. So Lucis, I actually saw one of the fish in the pond jump out of the water yesterday. They do that every once in a while. They do that. I just don't want them jumping out. So you can see I've got a nice high border that hopefully will dissuade them from trying to jump over it. So you don't drink tea, you drink water. Oh, okay. Okay. So, no tea and biscuits for you, my friend. None. I actually still think my favorite tea I've ever been served was in Africa. I still think that's my favorite tea ever. I think they pretty much straight up made the tea with milk. They brewed milk tea. It was so good. I had that in Rwanda. It was amazing. And best airline service I ever had was Kenya Air, where they came through. This is a 45-minute flight. They came through, served you a soda. They came through full meal with on your plate with fork and knife, and then they came through with tea service after the meal on a 45-minute flight. Totally amazing. And so if you have to fly Kenya Air, do it. Or I should say, if you get to. It was lovely. It was lovely. Okay, so I did do a little work trying to get this filled in because we've been behind in our reading the Bible, and we're not going to get caught up. We're not going to get caught up. Maybe next month, okay? Because we got today and tomorrow. We're pretty close to caught up in Acts, okay? But we got to start another book. So if I look, we're about 5 days behind, maybe in Acts, and no, we're about the same in Acts and Kings. We're about the same. So we are on the 8th. We're about a week behind. We're about a week behind, and I'll be gone next week. I will be gone next week. So if you're looking for something next week, you can still check out my my fish stream. It will still be there. Here it is. I need to put this in a command. Haven't done it yet. Not this stream was not that this stream was sponsored by Kenya Airways. Wouldn't that be fun? This episode of Chatting with Flat Cap is sponsored by Kenya Airways, where you get a meal, you get a soda, and you get a spot of tea all in 45 minutes. Galaxy, my British friend told me to use milk and try to drink tea. Yes. Yeah, it's really nice. Well, I like chai for that reason, and I like my chai with heavy whipping cream. Okay, like not milk. Heavy whipping cream is the way I want to do that. I mean, just let's make it half and half, with half heavy whipping cream and half tea. So when I go to make chai, I double up on the concentration to make the chai just undrinkably super strong, and then you dilute it with 50% of whatever your dairy is. I don't always have heavy cream. I'm saying that's the primo, but otherwise, yeah, milk works fine. And if you have half and half, that's good too. Okay. Anyway, we should be finishing the book of Acts tomorrow, which will be great. And I think I go from Acts into Romans when I was peeking ahead to look at things. I would love to also finish 2 Kings before we go. So what we'll probably do is work our way in 2 Kings and Acts, and whenever we finish one of those two books, we will jump to the other one. So if we finish Acts early tomorrow, we'll jump back to 2 Kings, rather than trying to work onto the next book. I don't want to start a new book and then be gone for a week. So that's what I'm trying to not do. But we'll see where we are. Okay. So 2 Kings 16. And by the way, if anyone does have concerns, questions, thoughts about events over the weekend and wants to chat about those, I know I did not do any of that in my Discord, but you're welcome to ask those questions or pose those things. What I'm not interested in is either side just trying to persuade people to their political viewpoint. But if we want to talk about other things outside of that, I think we can have good conversations. Oh, by the way, where that event took place was right near where my wife's grandmother had lived. and my wife's uncle's brother was at the rally. He was fine. I don't know where he was located, but he was present at the rally, and he's fine. So, all right. More Kings. More Kings. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I did hear also that, and I'm not going to dox them by saying who, but I do have another pastor friend who's a streamer who has someone in his community who is related or has friends. I'm not sure fully the connection with the individual that died. So just be alert and cautious this week as you engage people in different streams around that topic, and be sensitive. And keep praying for the families of the victims. And should say also the perpetrator, too. His family certainly needs our prayers. So, okay. So we've been in Kings. Kings come and kings go, and nothing seems to change. The king does good, like so-and-so, or the king does evil, like so-and-so, and he doesn't do really a whole lot unless he's a big name, and we'll tell you a few stories, but then we move on to the next one, and it all starts over again. I think part of what we're supposed to see as we read through these is the constant cycle of things, which is also what we saw in the book of Judges. And so the cycle of people following after God and falling away from God, of following after God and falling away from God, happens again and again and again. Just some guy. Hey, welcome in. Trigger Boss, good to see you. Just some guy. It's like the Who song, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yeah, that's a good analogy of the Book of Kings. Especially in the Northern Kingdom, where they do evil, evil, nothing but evil, only evil, all the time evil, and more evil. Pretty much sums up the Northern Kingdom. Okay. In the 17th year of the reign of Pekah, son of Ramaliah, Jotham's son Ahaz became king over Judah. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and it was a flood because he reigned for so long. Oh, sorry. And he reigned for 16 years in Jerusalem. He did not do what pleased the Lord his God, in contrast to his ancestor David. He followed the footsteps of the kings of Israel. He passed his sons through the fire, a horrible practice by the nations, whom the Lord drove out from before the nations. He sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. Okay. This may refer to child sacrifice, though some interpret it as a less drastic cult practice. Okay, so this could be the practice, and maybe you've heard people talk about there was this, I don't remember if it was a calf or whatever, an idol that would be burned. It would be bronze. It would have hands that were holding, and it would be on fire, burning it, and you would set your kids in the hands of this idol, and it would roast your child to death while it screamed. It could be that practice. I've heard a lot of people mention that, but here it's just saying pass through the fire. So maybe it's another ritual, but it doesn't matter what it was. It was to lesser spirit beings, lesser gods, not God, of the other nations you were told not to follow. And, like, let's be real. Why would you do this to a child? I mean, horrible, horrible, inconceivable. Just some guy. Over the weekend, you went to a comic book convention, saw Gina Carano. I don't know she was an actively Christian as she is. Oh, okay. I don't recognize the name, but that doesn't mean much for me to not recognize the name. Did you buy any comic books? Did you do any cosplay while you were there? Just wondering a few things. But hey, sounds like fun. If also, by the way, anyone interested in being a missionary at board gaming conventions, I don't know if Love Thy Nerd does comic book conventions, but you can get a hold of Love Thy Nerd. And I'm still considering doing Grand Con. I don't know whether I am or not. It's a matter of finances, which really seems silly that I'm worried about finances to go be a missionary, but I got to pay for it, and I got a whole bunch of other things, you know. If not this year, I will definitely do it next year. I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Okay. At that time, King Rezin of Syria and King Pekah, son of Ramaliah of Israel, attacked Jerusalem. So we have Israel and Syria, the two northern kingdoms, attacking Jerusalem. Oh, she played Cara Dune in Mandalorian. Okay, thank you. Okay. You didn't buy any books, but you did buy some art. Oh, you found a guy that makes posters that look like they come from the world of the movie or TV show that's based on. Ooh, that sounds fun. That sounds fun. So, if for instance, you know, the movie with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, you could have a poster for something that would look like it would have been hanging in that movie. That sounds fun. Or Back to the Future in the 1950s, you could have a poster of the Under the Sea dance. Cool, man. At that time, they besieged Ahaz, but were unable to conquer him. At that time, King Rezin of Syria recovered Elat for Syria, and he drove the Judahites from there. Syria arrived in Elat and lived there to this very day. Ahaz sent messengers to King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria, saying, I am your servant and your dependent. March up and rescue me from the power of the king of Assyria and the king of Israel, who have attacked me. Then Ahaz took the silver and gold that were in the Lord's temple and in the treasuries of the royal palace and sent it as tribute to the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria responded favorably to his request. He attacked Damascus and captured it. He deported the people to Kir and executed Rezin. Okay, so what we're starting to see here is the kings in Jerusalem are weak, and they're sending away treasures from the royal treasury and the temple to pay people off to not go to war. And we have people in the northern kingdom who are being captured and taken to Assyria. And so this is beginning the intermingling of the people in the north to where they're going to be gone. Just some guy. Like one of them was an advertising poster for the Mark of Zorro, made to look like it could have been the show Bruce Wayne went to with his parents. Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds cool. When King Ahaz went to meet... Did I just read that? No, I didn't. Meet the king, Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria in Damascus. He saw the altar there. King Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest a drawing of the altar and a blueprint for its design. Uriah the priest built an altar in conformity with the plans King Ahaz had sent from Damascus. Uriah the priest finished it before King Ahaz arrived back from Damascus. So, the king who is in Jerusalem, who has the actual temple of God, sees an altar in Damascus, a foreign nation, sends the drawings back of this altar, has someone build this altar. Let's find out where, because I'm not thinking this is going to be good. And why is the priest doing it? When the king arrived back from Damascus and saw the altar, he approached it and offered a sacrifice on it. He offered his burnt sacrifice and his grain offering. He poured out his libations and he sprinkled the blood for the peace offering on the altar. He moved the bronze altar that stood in the Lord's presence from the front of the temple between the altar and the Lord's temple and put it on the north side of the new altar. King Ahaz ordered Uriah the priest on the large altar offer morning sacrifices, the evening grain offering, the royal burnt sacrifices and grain offerings, the burnt sacrifices for all the people of the land, their grain offering and libation. Sprinkle all the blood of the burnt sacrifice and other sacrifices on it. The bronze altar will be for my personal use. So the priest Uriah did exactly as King Ahaz ordered. I'm just going to say this before we read it. You done messed up, Aaron. You done messed up. King Ahaz took off the frames of the movable stand and removed the basin from them. He took the sea down from the bronze bowls that supported it. Oh, okay. Change the flat cap. Green one. All right. Might as well show you the inside for those who have not seen. And the back. There we go. You have so many points, you need to use them. All fair. I've got a couple of channels. Once you've been following someone for a couple of years and you're in their stream regularly, your points are like, I can control everything. I will do as I wish. I will show up first and guide the raid before the channel even starts. I shall redeem whatever I wish, whenever I wish. That's what I shall do today. Yeah, I can say, I think in ukulele for worship, I've got like 5 million points or something ridiculous. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Wrong one, sorry. I pushed the wrong button. Forgot my headphones at home today, so no listening for you, unfortunately, but you're lurking. All right, Subdue. Good to see you, friend. Okay, so there's this big giant basin that was supported by 4 bowls. He's taken the bowls away and just putting the basin on the floor. And he put it on a stone paver. So he takes it off of the bronze bowls and he's putting it on stone. He also removed the Sabbath awning that had been built in the temple and the king's outer entrance to the Lord's temple on account of the king of Assyria. The rest of the events of Ahaz's reign, including his accomplishments, are recorded in the scrolls called the Annals of the Kings of Judah. Ahaz passed away and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. His son Hezekiah replaced him as king. Ooh, I believe Hezekiah was a good king. His dad was not. And wow, his dad is desecrating the temple. I thought something worse was going to happen. Didn't. It just, nothing happened other than he did some bad things. I did a bad thing. In the 12th year of King Ahaz' reign over Judah, Hosea, son of Elah, became king over Israel. He reigned in Samaria for 9 years. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, but not to the same degree as the Israelite kings who preceded him. King Shalmaneser of Assyria marched up to attack him, so Hosea became his subject and paid him tribute. The king of Assyria discovered that Hosea was planning a revolt. Hosea had sent messengers to the king. Okay, King So of Egypt. What is the discussion of the name? Okay, so King So of Egypt. and had not sent his tribute to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria arrested him and imprisoned him. The king of Assyria marched through the whole land. He attacked Samaria and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea's reign, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and deported the people of Israel to Assyria. He settled them in Halah along the Harbar, the river of Gozan, and in the city of Medes. So Samaria is getting carried away to Assyria. The king has been imprisoned. Now people are being captured and taken away. It sounds like the second time at least it was fully mentioned like that. Maybe it was a third. I lost count. This happened because the Israelites sinned against the Lord their God, who brought them up out of the land of Egypt and freed them from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods. Okay, so this is the list of what they did wrong. They worshipped other gods. They observed the practices of the nation whom the Lord had driven out before them and followed the examples of the kings of Israel. The Israelites said things about their God that were not right. They built high places in all of their towns, from the watchtowers to the fortified cities. They set up sacred pillars and Asherah poles on every high place, under every green tree. They burned incense on all the high places, just as the nations whom the Lord had driven away from them. They did evil practices that angered God. They worshiped the disgusting idols in blatant disregard to the Lord's command. So it's hard to count these, like which is an and that go together and which is a description of the rationale, like the evil practices that made the Lord angry. Is that a separate thing, or is that a culminating description of everything that was preceding it? So, anyway, depending on how you count it, 7, 8, or more. The Lord solemnly warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and all his seers, turn back from your evil ways. Obey my commands and rules that are recorded in the law. I ordered your ancestors to keep this law and sent my servants, the prophets, to remind you of its demands. But they did not pay attention and were as stubborn as their ancestors who had not trusted the Lord their God. Okay, they did not trust the Lord their God. That's why they serve another God, because this God didn't do what he said or in the timing I wanted to, so I did not trust him. They rejected his rules, the covenant he had made with their ancestors, so there's thing two, and the laws he had commanded them to obey. They paid their allegiance to worthless idols and so became worthless to the Lord. They copied the practices of the surrounding nations in blatant disregard for the Lord's command. So it's like we're repeating all of this again. A different way of looking at it. They abandoned all the commands of the Lord their God. They made 2 metal calves and Asherah poles. This is going all the way back to the beginning with Jeroboam. Like, this is all the way back to Jeroboam. We're going all the way back chronologically to the first thing they did wrong. Bow down to all the stars in the sky, and worshipped Baal. They passed their sons and daughters through the fire and practiced divination and omen reading, all things they're not supposed to do. They committed themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord and made him angry. So the Lord was furious with Israel and rejected them. Only the tribe of Judah was left. Judah also failed to keep commands of the Lord their God. They followed Israel's example. So the Lord rejected all of Israel's descendants. He humiliated them and handed them over to robbers until he had thrown them from his presence. He tore Israel away from David's dynasty, and Jeroboam, son of Nebat, became their king. Jeroboam drove Israel away from the Lord and encouraged them to commit a serious sin. The Israelites followed in the sinful ways of Jeroboam and did not repudiate them. Finally, the Lord rejected Israel, just as he had warned he would do through all his servants and prophets. Israel was deported from its land to Assyria and remains there to this very day. Okay, so what was the whole point of the repetition of the kings of Israel? Was Evil, evil, only evil, all the time evil, more evil, rejecting God, and now they have to pay the penalty. And they're being hauled away. They've broken the covenant. They've broken all their promises. They are expelled from the land. They're taken from the land, which was part of the covenant that they had agreed with. The king of Assyria brought foreigners from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim, and settled them in the cities of Samaria. So this is what the Assyrians do. They resettle people and move you around. So you don't have a homeland, people, and then people who were in your homeland or another homeland. So that's like he's moving chess pieces all over the board. He's moving chess pieces all over. When they first moved in, they did not worship the Lord. So the Lord sent lions among them, and the lions were killing them. The king of Assyria was told, the nation whom you deported and settled in the cities of Samaria do not know the requirements of the God of the land. So he has sent lions among them. They are killing the people because they do not know the requirements of the God of the land. Okay, this is a really valuable piece that we overlook. This is the thinking of people in this time. The God of the land was the one you needed to serve. So if you're in the land of Israel, you needed to serve the God of Israel. It goes back to why Naaman went there and wanted to take land back with so that he could worship the God of the land. I know that's such a weird thought to us today, but this is how ancient people thought. So the king of Assyria ordered, take back one of the priests whom you deported from there. He must settle there and teach them the requirements of God of the land. So one of the priests whom they had deported from Samaria went back and settled in Bethel. He taught them how to worship the Lord. Okay, that's just a map. Does he actually teach them how to worship the Lord? Because all they were doing was not worshiping the Lord. So was there an actual good priest that does this? Or is this an evil priest who's not actually following God? Let's see. But each of these nations made its own god and put them in the shrine in the high places that the people of Samaria had made. Each nation did this in the cities where they lived. The people from Babylon made Succoth-Benoth. The people of Cuth made Nergal. Gotta look it up. Nergal. Mesopotamian god of the underworld. Ooh, that makes sense. Okay, 2 Kings 17. What the verse? Nergal is in verse 30. Nergal. Might as well look up Succoth-Benoth. Succoth-Benoth as well. We'll look up Succoth-Benoth first. I'm probably pronouncing that one spot on, I bet.
Strong's H, 5524. Succoth-Benoth.
Yep, I got it right. Perfect.
Succoth-Benoth.
Succoth-Benoth. Daughter's Booth. See, Sukkoth is the festival of booths. Sukkoth. Succoth-Benoth. Okay, Nergal. Come on, what is it?
Strong's H, 50 through 70. Nergal. Nergal.
Hero. Hero. It means hero. So, not advising this, but, you know, Nergal means hero, although he is the Mesopotamian god of the underworld, but, you know, if you want the hero of the story. Okay. The Avites made Nizbah and Tartak, and the Sephavites burned their sons in the fire as an offering to Adramelech and Anamelech. Okay, Melech is king. So what is that? So let's go to the next verse. Sorry, there's Melech in there, which means king. So I gots to know. You are so good with getting the sounds of the word correctly all the time. Yes. Oh, yes. All the time. Never. Well, yeah. My problem is the vowel pointing. I don't always get my vowels right. So that's usually where I go astray.
Strong's H152. Adramelech. Adramelech.
Okay, so honor of the king. An image of the king.
Strong's H 6048. Anamelech. Anamelech.
Okay, so we have honor of the king and image of the king. The gods of Sepharvaim. At the same time, they worship the Lord. Hey, MC Wolfcat. They appointed some of their own people to serve as priests in the shrines of the high places. They were worshiping the Lord and at the same time serving their own gods in accordance with the practices of their nation from which they had been deported. So they're setting up all of these, but they are in fact worshiping the Lord. They've come in and they're just being, let's mend them all together. We got to worship the gods that came from, because they're our ancestors, and we got to worship this new God in the land of Israel because we got placed here. And we got to learn what the God here does. To this very day, they observe their earlier practices. They do not worship the Lord. They do not obey the rules, regulations, laws, and commandments the Lord gave the descendants of Jacob, whom he renamed Israel. The Lord made a covenant with them and instructed them, you must not worship other gods. Do not bow down to them, serve them, or offer sacrifices to them. Instead, you must worship the Lord, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt by his great power and military ability. Bow down to him and offer sacrifices to him. You must carefully obey at all times the rules, regulations, laws, and commands he wrote down for you. You must not worship other gods. You must never forget the covenant I made with you. And you must not worship other gods. Instead, you must worship the Lord your God. Then he will rescue you from the power of your enemies. But they paid no attention. Instead, they observed their earlier practices. These nations were worshiping the Lord and at the same time serving their idols. Their sons and grandsons are doing just as their fathers have done to this very day. I like that phrase in there. To this very day. Okay, so I'm not sure if we'll get any more mention of the northern kingdom at all unless it is Assyria and the northern kingdom coming to attack. I believe that was the last of the kings. I don't have, let me see if I can pull that up in my Discord a second, because I know I posted it there. That will tell me. Oh, come on, Discord. Open up for me. I put that under Bible, I thought. Is it under Bible in a year? Is that where I put it? Yeah, that's where I put it. Yeah. Okay, so that is right. Hosea is the last king of Israel. So we just read the last king of Israel. There are no more kings of Israel. That's it. Israel is done, over with. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. I want to say have some fun storming the castle, but they were being hauled away to its dungeon, so that's not going to work. All right. In the 3rd year of the reign of Israel's king Hosea, son of Elah, Ahaz, son Hezekiah, became king over Judah. Shihora Mage, Deuteronomy 13, 1-3, and Isaiah 41-23 troubles me a little bit. If they contradict each other sometime. Well, one of the things is they are both written in different times and different places to different people. So if we don't fully know and understand those times and places, They certainly might seem contradictory, and it still could be okay for things to seem contradictory to us. Okay, here. Let's see if I can find those. And just looking up these two sections isn't giving us a full context either. No results. If a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces to you a sign and a wonder, and if the sign and wonder spoken of takes place, and the prophet says, "Let us follow other gods, gods you have not known, and let us worship them," you must not listen to the word of the prophet or a dreamer. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and soul. Okay, so this says when those things happen, one way to see that is it's a test from God to see whether you love him with your heart and soul or not. Present your case, says the Lord. Set forth your arguments, kings of Jacob. Tell us, you idols, what is going to happen. Tell us what the former things were, so that we may consider them and know their final outcome, or declare to us the things to come. Tell us what the future holds, so we may know that you are gods. Do something, whether good or bad, so we will be dismayed and filled with fear. Okay. One of the things, and I'd have to go fully get the context, but one of the things that is showing me here in the way that the Isaiah is set out is this is either an oracle or because of the way that they've marked it off here, it would tell me it's either an oracle of some kind or poetic nature of some kind. But I would also think this, like, show us this is not thinking it will happen. It is a taunt about things. So from that standpoint, I wouldn't see those as contradictory at all. But if there's more to it than I'm seeing there, I'd have to go into the context if there's something that's more concerning to you there. It kind of reminds me of what we just read last week with Elisha telling the prophets of Baal to call on their God, and he's taunting them of, you need to call down fire. Maybe he's out busy. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe you need to yell louder. Maybe he's relieving himself. Maybe like he's doing all these things, taunting them to call on their God to respond with fire, which he cannot do. So that's what this gives me the same vibe of, but I'd have to go read more of the context. Yeah, it sounds like a challenge for some false prophets to produce results. Yeah. Let me see. Can I do full chapter? That's 20. Oh, this is a whole longer whole place here. Yeah, I'd have to back up and get more to figure out what's fully going on in that whole section. But one of the things I think we do, and I don't, is we have, let me put it a different way. I think the way that we should look at the rules and regulations are like a plumb line. Okay, if you've ever seen a plumb line, it's an old system of how you would measure something. This will actually make a good plumb line. I can show you this. It's not a plumb line, but it'll give you the concept here really easily. So, if I want to have something straight, I put a weight on the end of a a piece of string and I let it hang down. Now I know where plumb is, so I can build something that will be level and not fall over. Excuse me. So if I'm building something level, it doesn't fall over, I use a plumb to show me where level is, and I base everything off of that. I think that's the way that we need to look at all of the rules, commands, and regulations. This is the standard. This is the rule. This is what I'm trying to align as best I can to that. I think too often we make them into a list of do's and don'ts. And part of that is when I make it into a list of do's and don'ts, I can do the right thing and have poor motivation for doing it. When I am striving to live up to a measurement that is a standard in my mind, I feel that's different. And maybe I'm making a distinction without a difference, but I feel like when I am striving to live up to an ideal, I want to get as close to it as I can. So I want to follow the plumb line of Jesus. I want to look as close to Jesus as I can. I don't do that by making a whole list of what did Jesus do? How did Jesus do it? What are all the sayings of Jesus? Like, I can't remember all of them, okay? But if I can ask myself this question, when I come home from whatever I'm doing for the day, whether I'm a kid or I'm an adult, my mom or my spouse mentions something about, hey, I didn't get time to do this today. I can say, well, you better do it. Or I can go, what would Jesus respond if he heard someone had a need, didn't get it done? Wouldn't he jump in and do that? Wouldn't he jump in and do that? And so I jump in and I do the thing that wasn't done so that I can help complete it. I act as Jesus. Where's the rule in Scripture that says do that? Well, the only one I could go to perhaps would be love your neighbor as yourself. I could go to that one. This would be loving my neighbor as myself. Even though they're family, that'd still be loving my neighbor as myself. Hey, okay, Cockroach, thanks for the 7 months. Good morning, Pastor in chat. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you, friend. The other thing, for instance, if we sit down at the table and dad or spouse is saying something about, oh my goodness, I had such a rough day. I'm not feeling good. I'm so tired. I might go, do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about that? Let me listen to you. Let me hear you out. Let me give you a chance to voice all of those things. That's the loving thing to do. Where's the command that says, listen to the person who's had a bad day? Where's the rule? Like, so if I'm just doing the rules, I'm not loving people in a way that meets them where they are. So that's why I like the idea of the plumb line. And Jesus is my plumb line. And he is the standard. He's how I'm trying to live. He's how I'm trying to love others right where they are, because that's right what he did. And so, yes, I go read all the Old Testament, and I know and understand all of it, and I agree with it, but just agreement with it doesn't always help me understand how to live it. But if I put it through the lens of how would Jesus live this out in the context of things, not in a check mark the box, which I've never been good at check mark the box anyway. If I don't want to do it, no amount of check mark the box is going to get me to do it. If I decide to do it, if I have a desire to do it, if I don't, I can still choose to do it out of love for Jesus or love for the person. So, I don't know if that's helpful or not in the dealing with things that look on the surface, if they're contradictory. By the way, depends on what you mean by a conflict, too. For instance, people will say that there are conflicts in the Gospels, that one author says this and another says that, and they both can't be true. Hey, Artsy Bible Nerd, welcome in. But go look at eyewitness testimony in a court. Eyewitnesses don't give matching testimony. It's one of the things that is true about eyewitnesses. We see it from our perspective, we remember the things important to us, and we tell it in a manner that is the way we can tell a story. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John don't all say the same things in the same order and give the same emphasis. To me, that's more evidence that they're true, because they weren't just trying to say, hey, now how are we going to say this again? Like when everybody's story lines up perfectly, it's sus, right? Because we all made up the story, we all agreed to the story, and it's seeing if we can all stick to it, kind of a thing. Hey, Artsy redeeming the change of cap. Hey, we're already on the screen to do that, so let me know which one you want. Ooh, I see I've got some shadows lurking in today on the hats. The shadow knows all. Yeah, I'm watching you people. Welcome in. Welcome in. You got a hat yet, Artsy, or just random hat? I did see your YouTube post of another page inked. How's that going? Thought I saw it 8. Is that what right where you're at? Just random? Okay. Well, that would be totally random. I'll do this one. This one has a little bit of a red dotted line through it. Black tweed with a little red dotted line. Saihoro. Or do I'll just call you Mage. Is that all right? Let me know. Yes, I still trust the Bible other than all other religions because it still kind of makes sense the most. Yeah, in your opinion, compared to others. Yeah. Well, yeah, it does kind of go. You know, my hair is just popping out today for some reason. It's all right. Well, what I'm saying on some level, also, Mage, is that sometimes people want to be really, really rigid on how they understand the Bible. And then if they find something that seemingly feels contradictory to them, then they want to throw the whole thing out as if I can't trust it. But I do like to spend time knowing about who it was written to, what it was written about, and try to understand it from the original audience, because these weren't written to me directly. Not a single one of these is written in this century, is written to North America. So I have to put, and I love this analogy, I have to look through the lens of the original audience. I have a lens over here of how I see the world, and I have to make a bridge between those two to get back to the original audience to try to see it through their lens of the world and the author and what they were trying to do to the original audience, which frankly is really difficult to get back to. So, oh, by the way, that's not my example I'm watching, you people. That is my professor at seminary who taught us about preaching, and Ramesh Richards, fantastic guy. So you can catch him out there on the interwebs somewhere. I've seen his VODs up. I don't go watch his VODs. They're good, but a lot of what he's doing is more preaching, and I'm not. I'm more listening to people who are teaching aspects of things. A lot of his stuff is preaching, and there's a distinction between the two. Like, I wouldn't say what I do on my stream is preaching at all. So I'm looking for people doing things more in the manner of what I'm doing, of let's dissect it, let's understand what's behind it, as opposed to preaching, which sometimes is, I have already read it, I have already prepared it, God has spoken to me, I have a message to bring to you, which is fine. That's just not what I'm looking for, because it's really hard to always find a person that can preach to where you are unless they know where you are. So, yeah, that's why I like to stream on Monday from UNC. I like watching Jerry Flowers even more than preach. Teach more than preach, yeah. Yep. Yeah, preach more than preach, yep. And like I said, there's a place for preaching. I have no problem with it, and I've done it for years. And I usually do similar things like trying to bring an example to help people understand what's in the text. Oh, Uncle Diddy. Okay. Uncle Diddy. Oh, thanks for... Sorry, my brain didn't go with Unk to Uncle Diddy. It went UNC as in Chapel Hill. So... See, this is a perfect example right there in the chat of how we can misunderstand the message coming from the person sending the message. I had to have clarified UNC was not Chapel Hill. It was Uncle Diddy. It was Unk. I missed it. See how it made such a difference? And we do that in the text, which is why I want to spend so much time reading big sections of it. Usually just call him Unk, yeah. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, that makes more sense than my dad. Yeah, you usually just call him Unk. Yep, I gotcha. Okay, let's get to Hezekiah. So now we're in the southern kingdom. We're in Judah. They still have several more kings. I want to say it's 5 or 6 more kings to go. So we're not done. The northern kingdom is no more. They've been deported and intermingled. So they have been dispersed around. So the diaspora has started already. They've been taken to Babylon, it said, in some ways, because people from Babylon were taken to there. So they're mixing around in different places. The 10 tribes are being intermixed with other people. Okay, in the 3rd year of the reign of Israel. Oh, we read that part. Okay. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. He did what the Lord approved, just as his ancestor David had done. He eliminated the high places, smashed the sacred pillars to bits, and cut down the Asherah poles. Okay, we would often have, nobody has done this. They did like their father David, with the exception, and I noticed I just realized I did not have the text in front of you. Sorry about that. He did like David, but he didn't get rid of the high places, or he didn't get rid of the Asherah poles. He was like David with the exception of, we now have someone who has restored us, in a sense, back to Davidic worship, because the high places are eliminated, the Asherah poles are eliminated that were put up by Solomon. So the northern kingdom is gone, and we're returning to, this should be hope here. This should be hope. The northern kingdom is fully gone astray, and they're wiped out, and now we're going to be returning. We should be getting hopeful. Maybe we will not be destroyed. Maybe we will outlast. Maybe we will return to God. Oh, ad break ends. Sorry, friends. Didn't see the ad break coming in. So, let's go look at the baby koi. We'll feed him. Suckers are getting big, and they're getting hungry. And the camera seems to be having a hard time keeping track of all the big fish in there and the movements of everybody. Because he's freezing like, oh no! Actually, that's probably internet problems. Because that camera is on the Wi-Fi. All right. And we're back. Okay, so we should be getting a level of hope here, because he's eliminated things. He's going back to David. Let's keep reading. He also demolished the bronze serpent that Moses had made. What? What? What you talking about, Willis? And let me know if I'm freezing, because unless my mouse just died. I had it on the charger. I think my mouse just died. That's probably what that is. All right. I hate when my mouse dies. I don't like using the mouse pad. Yeah, that's what happened. He demolished the bronze serpent that Moses had made, for up to that time the Israelites had been offering incense to it. It is called Nehushtan. What? I love when I find stuff I don't remember. The name sounds like the phrase Nehash Hana Kanash, bronze serpent. Like we never left. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Never mind. It's my bad. Oh, the on-screen chat? That's because what happens, excuse me, I just knocked my mouse charge off the charger. What happens with the chat is I go to the fish cam screen. I don't have the chat on that scene. So when I come back, chat starts as new. Maybe what I need to do is go look at my settings and not refresh the chat in the settings. That might change it. I could look at that. Okay, anyway. Was going to go look at the name Nehushtan. Okay. Nehushtan. I feel like that's got to be a weird name. Oh, come on. This is so much slower with the mouse pad. Yeah, I figured you meant good. Yeah, that sounds good. Nehushtan.
Strong's H 5180. Nehushtan. Nehushtan.
Okay, that name, highly disappointing here. A bronze thing. It's like a it's like a whatchamacallit, a thingamabob. A Nehushtan. Nehushtan, a bronze thing. Yeah. All right. Thought it was going to be something really cool. It was nothing. Was nothing. Yeah, they used to offer incense to the bronze thing. He trusted in the Lord God of Israel. That's probably why I don't remember it, because it's disappointing. In this regard, there was none like him among the kings of Judah, either before or after. He was loyal to the Lord and did not abandon him. He obeyed the commands that the Lord had given to Moses. The Lord was with him. He succeeded him in all his endeavors. He rebelled against the king of Assyria and refused to submit to him. He defeated the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory, from the watchtower to the fortified city. So Hezekiah is like, boom. Yeah, hey, thanks for getting the words in. Oh, it's words plus. Welcome in. Okay, cock. Yeah, rolls off the tongue. Rolls off the tongue. Nehushtan. Thingamabob. Whatchamacallit? Bronze thing. Someone I know is having a 24-hour stream for their birthday, and somehow the concept of muscular roach kept popping up in her comment. Thank you, everybody, for the word count. Because without that, well, even with that, it's probably double what we've actually counted. Okay, in the 4th year, the reign of King Hezekiah's reign. It was the 7th year of the reign of Israel's king Hosea. So we still have him like overlap here. So yeah, it's not done. We've got the end. It's already done, but we're reading back how this is happening. King Shalmaneser of Assyria marched up against Samaria and besieged it. After 3 years, he captured it. In the 6th year of Hezekiah's reign, in the 9th year of the reign of King Hosea's reign over Israel, Samaria was captured. The king of Assyria departed the people of Israel to Assyria. He settled them in Halah, along the Habor River, of Gozan and in the cities of Medes. So the Medes and Persians, they're out Babylon, perhaps. This happened because they did not obey the Lord their God and broke his covenant with them. They did not pay attention to and obey all that Moses, the Lord's servant, had commanded. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Assyria marched up against all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. We do actually have a temple of Sennacherib, if I remember correctly. We have historically show different things that he accomplished and stuff. And one of the things you find in ancient times is people do not mark off and build monuments when they lose, and they exaggerate when they win. So it's common all around, you write the history the way you want it to be, not the way it was. King Hezekiah and Judah sent this message to the king of Assyria, who was at Lachish. I have violated our treaty. If you leave, I will do whatever you demand. So the king of Assyria demanded that King Hezekiah of Judah pay 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. Hezekiah gave him all the silver in the Lord's temple and in the treasuries in the royal palace. At that time, King Hezekiah of Judah stripped the metal overlays from the doors of the Lord's temple and from the posts that had been plated and gave them to the king of Assyria. So he's stripping the temple down. Dude, did you inquire of God? Do we see any inquiry of God? I did not see it. Doesn't mean he didn't do it, but I don't see an emphasis on it. So this feels like the king is just trying to make an appeasement here rather than inquiry of God. I don't know. I'm just saying. If I ever see a muscular apartment, I'm going to burn a whole building down. My wife had very similar reactions to cockroaches, even little itty bitty ones, for a long time, and then we moved to Texas, and there is no escaping cockroaches. There is no escaping cockroaches. I want to say our house had 3, because we had the exterminator come out, 3 different kinds of breeds of cockroaches. And here's the thing. When you see, this is a Texas thing, so it may apply other places, but whenever you see someone having their house treated for termites, for fire ants, or for cockroaches, you best get yours treated too. You best get yours treated too, because they're just going to migrate next door. And like termite mounds can be like a mound with a 5-mile radius underground. So they're just common things. They're just a nuisance. We had cats, which the cats like to catch and play with them. So doesn't say anything about cleanliness of the people. It's just a part of the environment. Okay. The king of Assyria sent his commander general, the chief eunuch, and the chief advisor from Lachish to King Hezekiah in Jerusalem. Along with a large army, they went up and arrived at Jerusalem. They went and stood at the conduit of the upper pool, which is located on the road to the field where they wash and dry cloth. So outside town where they wash their clothes. They summoned the king, so Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace supervisor, accompanied by Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, son of Asaph, the secretary, went out to meet him. The king advisor said to them, "Tell Hezekiah, this is what the great king, the king of Assyria, says. What is the source of your confidence? Your claim to have a strategy or military strength is just empty talk. In whom are you trusting that you would dare to rebel against me? Now look, you must be trusting in Egypt, that splintered reed staff, if, if a man leans for support on it, it punctures his hand and wounds him. That is what Pharaoh, king of Egypt, does to all who trust in him. Perhaps you will tell me, we are trusting in the Lord our God, but Hezekiah is the one who has eliminated his high places and altars, and then told the people of Judah and Jerusalem, you must worship at this altar in Jerusalem. Now make a deal with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, provided you can find enough riders for them. Certainly you will not refuse one of my master's minor officials and trust in Egypt for chariots and horsemen. Furthermore, it was at my command of the Lord that I marched up against this place to destroy it. The Lord told me, march up against the land and destroy it. Okay, let me see what the footnote says. The chief advisors develops further the argument begun in 22. He claims Hezekiah has offended the Lord. So, okay. Not feeling like this is truth. It's just, let me tell you, friend. And he's got a whole, like, you're going to be weak. You're going to die. You got a problem. Like, what you did wasn't enough. Just trying to bribe us off to not come and attack. Come on, please. Yet another state to never moved to besides Florida. I loved living in Texas. I'll just tell you, I loved it there. I might not enjoy it with the heat. They've been really scorcher, and I might not enjoy the busyness anymore. I have grown accustomed to living in smaller town after living in DFW Metroplex. So Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, Shebna, and Joah said to the chief advisor, speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it. Don't speak to us in the Judahite dialect, in the hearing of the people who are on the wall. When the chief advisor said to them, my master did not send me to speak these words only to your master and to you. His message is also for the men who sit on the wall, for they will eat their own excrement and drink their own urine along with you. So yeah, we got military taunting going on. Oh yeah. Well, the flooding isn't, I mean, I haven't heard of sewage issues tied with flooding. But flooding is an issue because you will have gullies that have nothing in them, and when rain happens, the ground is dry, it all runs off, and it causes flooding. So, yeah, they usually had like signposts on certain roads that would have a marker to tell you how deep the water was, so you wouldn't enter. Like, you can see it's 3 feet deep. Don't go in this. You know. Yeah, it would. Well, it's more like places like it's part of it is desert, so you don't have water all the time, so it'll be empty. But these are formed when rain happens. It all runs off. It doesn't soak into the ground. No, I didn't. Temple Snail, I didn't see that guy that prophesied about Trump's assassination about 4 months ago, but I don't think that really would have taken a whole lot to predict that. I'd have to. Do you know how specific he was in any way? And did he say it was going to be an attempt and not successful? You know, it's quite interesting actually. I bet it's probably interesting. But my point being is, unless he had real specificity to it, anybody could have made a claim like that, and it would be ignored unless it came about. But if you have more info, I would definitely be interested in checking it out. The chief advisor then stood there and called out loudly in the Judahite dialect, listen to the messenger of the great king, the king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Don't let Hezekiah mislead you, for he is not able to rescue you from my hand. Don't let Hezekiah talk you into trusting in the Lord when he says, the Lord will certainly rescue us. This city will not be handed over to the king of Assyria. Don't listen to Hezekiah, for this is what the king of Assyria says. Send me a token of your submission and surrender to me. Then each of you may eat from his own vine and fig tree and drink water from his own cistern until I come and take you to the land just like your own, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive oil and honey. Then you will live and not die. Don't listen to Hezekiah. He's misleading you when he says, the Lord will rescue us. Have any of the gods of the nation actually rescued his land from the power of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena and Eva? Indeed, did any gods rescue Samaria from my power? Who among all the gods of the lands has rescued their lands from my power? So how can the Lord rescue Jerusalem from my power? The people were silent and did not respond, for the king had ordered, do not respond to him. Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace supervisor, accompanied Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, son of Asaph, the secretary, went to Hezekiah with their clothes torn and reported to him what the chief advisor had said. Temple Snail. He said he saw a failed attempt so close that it went right by his ear and burst his eardrum. Ooh, that is really specific. That is really specific. So yeah, that would be enough. I mean, enough specificity that what I was saying that I would pay attention to that. Yeah, if you got a link to that temple, go ahead and let me know. When King Hezekiah heard this, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and went to the Lord's temple. Okay, I asked the question when he was looting the temple, taking the gold plating off to pay off the king of Assyria. Why didn't he inquire the Lord there? Maybe he did. Don't know. Hey, Matt Deller Music, thanks for the lurk, friend. So now he is inquiring of the Lord, because he said he was like David. He was after David. So we're going to see actions now that he is. He sent Eliakim, the palace supervisor, Shebna the scribe, and the leading priest, clothed in sackcloth, to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos. They told him, this is what Hezekiah says. This is a day of distress, insults, and humiliation. And when a baby is ready to leave the birth canal, but the mother lacks the strength to push it through. Perhaps the Lord your God will hear all these things the chief advisor has spoken on behalf of his master, the king of Assyria, who sent him to taunt the living God. See how this sounds like David. This Philistine, this uncircumcised Philistine, taunts the armies of the living God. See, I think there's a connection there. We're supposed to hear. When the Lord your God hears, perhaps he will punish him for the things he said. So pray for the remnant that remains. I'm watching you people with the redeem and the flat cap change. We're got a lot of those today. Yep, I knew you were going recycled. Yeah, exactly. How you're interpreting it, if you saw the blood, you could interpret that as the eardrum burst. But yeah, and also is so close to eardrum burst. Is that meant metaphorically to have it be understood, or did we need to see that as a literal? I need enough specificity to say, yeah, I could see that this was accurate. I don't need to have, the eardrum didn't burst, and then I can poo-poo the person. So that makes sense. All right, recycled it is. And I know you're all about the recycled. You're all about the recycled. The redeemed, the restored, the rejuvenated, the sackcloth and ashes. The third time today. Change of cap. I know it is. It is. It's fun. It's fun. We're all about that change. Yeah. Change the pattern of his hairline. What? What? Oh, you guys are fun. Okay, I went to go grab my mouse, which is not there. So, when Hezekiah's servant came to Isaiah, okay, this is the first time Isaiah's been mentioned. Okay, so when we read Isaiah later, remember Isaiah shows up with Hezekiah, which shows up at the end, and Isaiah is like a long book. I'm trying to remember if it's split into 5 sections. I think that's how Isaiah is split up into 5 different segments. So there's a part where he is speaking to the northern kingdom, and there's a part where he's speaking to the southern kingdom. Tell your master this. This is what the Lord has said. Don't be afraid because of the things you have heard, because the Assyrian's king officer has insulted me. Look, I will take control of his mind. He will receive a report and return to his own land. I will cut him down with the sword in his own land. When the chief advisor heard the king of Assyria had departed from Lachish, he left and went to Libnah, where the king was campaigning. The king heard that King Tirhakah of Ethiopia was marching out to fight him. He again sent messengers to Hezekiah, ordering him, "Tell the king Hezekiah of Judah this. Don't let your God in whom you trust mislead you when he says, 'Jerusalem will not be handed over to the king of Assyria.' Certainly you have heard how the king of Assyria has annihilated all lands. Do you really think you will be rescued? Where the nations whom my ancestors destroyed, the nations of Gozan, Haran, Rezeph, and the people of Eden in Telassar, rescued by their God? Where are the king of Hamath, the king of Arpad, and the kings of Lyre, Seraphim, Henna, and Eva?" So again, taunting and doing the list of, here's everybody that I defeated. Oh, there it is, Temple. Thanks. Let me click on that, and I'll look at it later. Just pause it. Fast forward to minute 11. Okay. I'll watch it. Hey, stay paused. This is why I don't like the finger mouse. I paused it, and then it, while I go to scroll, thinks I'm clicking again. I don't like the finger pad. Doesn't work well for me. And I know you can change sensitivity, and I just can never tune it in. Okay. I think I scrolled a little too far. There we go. Hezekiah took the letter from the messenger and read it. Then Hezekiah went up to the Lord's temple, and there was a temple snail there. And he had the temple snail read the letter to him. Oh, I'm just kidding. And he spread it out before the Lord. Hezekiah prayed before the Lord God of Israel, who is enthroned above the cherubim. You alone are God over all the kingdoms of the earth. You made the sky and the earth. Pay attention, Lord, and hear. Open your eyes and observe. Listen to the message Sennacherib sent and how he taunts the living God. You don't know anything about this guy. Maybe he said tons of failed stuff, but if not, really interesting. Yeah, I will have to. Yeah, I was like, wait, a temple snail? I love putting those little things in there for lurkers who might just be listening in the background, and all of a sudden they're like, well, what was that I just heard? Yeah, I'll have to dig into him a little bit and see if he's made other failed things, but even so, I think of the tabernacle as more like a temple snail. Yeah, the tabernacle, it goes with you. I like that thought. Okay. But here he's laying out the whole thing before God to see. He's going before God, and he's reminding God of who God is and what God has done. So he goes in with I know who you are. I'm telling you who you are. I know who you are. You're the one I serve. This is up to you. Yeah, the tabernacle's mobile. Yeah, I got that. I never thought of that before. That's a cool thought. Okay. It is true, Lord, the king of Assyria have destroyed the nations and their lands. They have burned the gods of the nations, for they are not really gods, but only the product of human hands manufactured from wood and stone. This is why the Assyrians could destroy them. Now, O Lord our God, rescue us from his power, so that all the kingdoms of the earth will know that you, Lord, are the only God. Isaiah, son of Amos, sent the message to Hezekiah. This is what the Lord God of Israel said. I have heard your prayer concerning King Sennacherib of Assyria. This is what the Lord says about him. So, as I was saying earlier, sometimes we have these things marked off. They're an oracle, a teaching, a proclamation from a prophet. That's what we have right here, which might have been what we had in Isaiah. I didn't look back far enough to see the intro there. Or we have these as they're poetic and some level. Anyway, let's see what he has to say. The virgin daughter Zion despises you. She makes fun of you, daughter Jerusalem. Shakes her head after you. Whom have you taunted and hurled insults at? At whom have you shouted and looked so arrogantly? At the Holy One of Israel. Through your messengers you taught the sovereign master, who with many chariots I climb up the high mountain, the slopes of Lebanon. I cut down its tall cedars and its best evergreens. I invade its most remote regions, its thickest woods. I dug wells and drank water in foreign lands. With the sole of my feet I dried up all the rivers of Egypt. Certainly you must have heard. Long ago I worked it out. In ancient times I planned it, and now I'm bringing it to pass. The plan is this: fortified cities will crash into heaps of ruins. Their residents are powerless. They are terrified and ashamed. They are as short-lived as plants in the field or green vegetation. They are short-lived as grass on the rooftops. When it is scorched by the east wind. I know where you live and everything you do, because you rage against the machine. Oh no, you rage against me, God. And the uproar you created has reached my ears. I will put a hook in your nose and my bridle between your lips, and I will lead you back the way you came. This will be the confirmation that I have spoken the truth. Okay, so we have the declaration. Now, how will we know this is true? That this was truly the thing. This year, you will eat what grows wild, and next year, what grows on its own from that. But in the third year, you will plant seed and harvest a crop. You will plant vines and consume their produce. Those who remain in Judah will take root in the ground and bear fruit. So, for the next 2 years, Judah, you're going to eat wild, whatever's left, whatever's out there. There'll be enough in the wild to grow. In year 3, you'll get to plant. In year 3, you'll get to plant. Wow. You got to wait. You got to wait. God is not going to make an instantaneous delivery of his people. Just because you finally have a king that is turning back to God does not mean that what had happened and the punishment that needed to come and the cleansing out of the people that was due because of what they had done with the previous kings and worship other gods didn't need to take place. For a remnant will leave Jerusalem. Survivors will come out of Mount Zion. The zeal of the Lord of heaven's armies will accomplish this. So this is what the Lord has said. I don't know why that came up. About the king of Assyria. He will not enter this city, nor will he shoot an arrow here. He will not attack it with his shield carrying warriors, nor will he build siege works against it. He will go back the way he came. He will not enter this city. I will shield the city and rescue it for the sake of my reputation and because of my promise to David, my servant. That very night, the angel of the Lord went out and killed 150,000 in the Assyrian camp. When they got up early the next morning, there were all the corpses. So King Sennacherib of Assyria broke camp and went on his way. He went home and stayed in Nineveh. One day, as he was worshiping in the temple of the god Nisroch, his sons Adremelech and Sharezer struck him down with the sword. They escaped to the land of Ararat. His son Esarhaddon replaced him as king. So one son kills him and flees, and another son becomes the king after Sennacherib. And like I said, you can go. I've seen VODs around on Sennacherib and depicting like his greatest accomplishments in a temple that they found in Assyria. So, pretty cool thing if you want to go check that out. Okay. In those days, Hezekiah was stricken with a terminal illness. Okay, so this word has been used before. A terminal illness, it's the thing that would cause his death. The illness that would cause his death. The prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz, visited him and told him, "This is what the Lord has said. Get your household instructions, for you are to die. You will not get well." He turned his face to the wall and he prayed to the Lord. "Please, Lord, remember how I served you faithfully and with wholehearted devotion, and how I have carried out your will." Then Hezekiah wept bitterly. Okay. This is one of those stories that baffles me. And why I say it baffles me is you have a message from God that says very specifically, you're going to die. But he says, remember me and don't let me die. Do we have the right to do that? I think we do. I think we do. Because David, if we want to say, gave an example of, who knows, maybe God will relent, maybe God will change his mind about his son. He did not. We have Moses, who gives us the example of going on behalf of the people. And don't kill them all. When God said, I'm going to wipe them all out and start over with you, Moses, Moses goes on behalf of the people and says, no. But my question on this is, this seems selfish and self-centered. Don't let me die. And I don't know if that is self-centered or selfish or not, or if it's I did all of these things and this is how I'm going to die, kind of a plea that's an honest plea of the heart that I think we have the right to go to God with. But then I look at the outcome of this and wonder whether or not he would have been, the people would have been better off if he did not live. Isaiah had not left the middle courtyard when the Lord's message came to him. Go back and tell Hezekiah, the leader of my people, this is what the Lord God of your ancestor David has said. I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. Look, I will heal you. The day after tomorrow, you will go up to the Lord's temple. I will add 15 years to your life and rescue you and the city from the king of Assyria. I will shield this city for the sake of my reputation. Again, the city is spared because of his reputation and because of the promise to David, my servant. Isaiah ordered, get a fig cake. So they did as he ordered, and they placed it on the ulcerated sore, and he recovered. Okay, what? You get a fig cake and you're putting on it? Like, is this a poultice, a balm? What is it? I don't know. But you got a fig cake and the ulcerated sore. If you have an open wound kind of a thing, I think that's what we're getting of some kind of thing, and it's going to draw the poison out somehow. Don't know how that works. Hezekiah said to Isaiah, what is the confirming sign that the Lord will heal me and that I will go up to the Lord's temple the day after tomorrow? Isaiah replied, "This is your sign that the Lord is confirming that the Lord will do what he says. Do you want the shadow to move ahead 10 steps or go back 10 steps?" This is weird. Hezekiah answered, "It is easy for the shadow to lengthen 10 steps, but for it to go back 10 steps." Isaiah the prophet called on the Lord, and the Lord made the shadow go back 10 steps on the stairs of Ahaz. Apparently, they don't make fig cakes like they used to. Yeah, I've got leprosy over here. Let's just put this on and it will absorb the leprosy, will go away. Get your fig cakes today, friends. Yeah, 10 steps as a typical sundial. Okay. Messengers from Babylon visit Hezekiah. This is where he's going to done mess up Aaron for sure. At that time, Merodach Baladad, son of Baladad, king of Babylon, sent messengers with letters and a gift to Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah was ill. Hezekiah welcomed them and showed them the whole storehouses, with its silver, gold, spices, and high-quality olive oil, as well as his armory and everything in his treasury. Hezekiah showed them everything in his palace, in his whole kingdom. Isaiah the prophet visited King Hezekiah and asked him, "What did these men say? Where did they come from?" Hezekiah replied, "They came from the distant land of Babylon." Isaiah asked, "What have they seen in your palace?" Hezekiah replied, "They have seen everything in my palace. I showed them everything in my treasury." Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Listen to the Lord's message. Look, a time is coming when everything in your palace and the things your ancestors have accumulated to this day will be carried away to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord. Some of your very own descendants, whom your father will be taken away and will be made eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." Hezekiah said to Isaiah, "The Lord's message, which you have announced, is appropriate." Then he added, "At least there will be peace and stability during my lifetime." Okay. His heart should be rended for the future of his people. It's not. It's not. His heart should be broken for the people. This sounds a whole lot like, I want to say Eli, because he had evil sons, and there was I think a section there about, at least it'll be okay and it won't be in my lifetime. Like, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. What if today, there was the promise of some, I don't know, catastrophic event that was going to come on your hometown? Would you be like, "Well, I won't be living when it happens, so that's all right"? Like, I would be horrified by that. Why is he not horrified by this? Why is he not upset by this? And he was like, "This seems appropriate." Let me see if there's a footnote there. That seems good. Oh, okay. No, it doesn't seem good. It seems horrible. And you're the one who is going to initiate the reasons why they want to come, because you showed them everything. You done messed up, Aaron. This is why it's like, okay, you got long life. You got another 15 years. Maybe you should go into retirement in those 15 years instead of serving in those 15 years. I'm just saying. Maybe what you should do is move into the role of advisor, because you were going to die. God spared your life. So maybe give up kingship and put your son in your place. I mean, I just feel like there's other things you have done, but it seems like selfish, self-centered actions. Even though he's like David, he doesn't have a heart after God. He doesn't have a heart for his people. That's what I see. High quality olive oil? Fat was pretty powerful in biblical days. Well, I just think the quality, like, if you buy, any kind of product that's from agriculture, you've got the really, really good ones, and you've got some that are not so good. For instance, blueberries. I am incredibly biased. I have no interest in buying or eating blueberries from any place but Michigan. Excuse me. I'm only going to buy and eat Michigan blueberries. Everything else is second grade level, like second grade quality. Like it is lower tier. I mean, like Michigan blueberries are S tier. There is no A tier. There is no B tier. Everything else is C tier and below. Okay? That's how I'm grading my blueberries. So with olive oil, the olive oil is S tier from the land, and that's what he's showing them. So, which is better, early death or being responsible for the Babylonian attacking? Right, Artsy, exactly. Like I would be horrified by like, I'm the one that's going to be the cause of this calamity in the future. I would have been better off dead. God, can we go back and you could take my life and not make this happen? Why is that not his plea? I don't know. The rest of the events of Hezekiah's reign and all his accomplishments, including how he built a pool and conduit to bring water into the city, and are recorded in the scrolls of the annals of the kings of Judah. Hezekiah passed away, and his son Manasseh replaced him as king. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king. Okay. Manasseh would not have been king if Hezekiah did not live longer. Did he have another son? I'd have to go look at things. I felt like there was another son. So if King Hezekiah doesn't live 15 more years, then Manasseh's not born. Manasseh doesn't become king. Let's see if Manasseh's a good king. You know, because riddle me this. If you have kids in your 20s, and then you suddenly have a kid when you're about 50, what kind of parenting skill and style are you using as a parent in your 50s versus you using as a parent in your 20s? Just think of anybody you know that might be doing that. Because I've had friends who've done that, where their kids are out of the house and suddenly they have an unexpected kid that comes along and they got to start all over with the raising kids again. They're so relaxed. They let their kids do lots of other stuff. I mean, they do, not saying they're always hands off, but they're a lot more hands off. They're a lot more allowing things to be whatever the kids desire. They just start up to the task of constant, I don't want to say helicopter parenting, but you get the image there of going to be there all the time, on top of everything, doing it. They're like, yeah, it'll be okay. It'll turn out. I think if I lived a life that pleased God, and I knew that God knew that, and God said that he was going to end my life, I would probably just ask for an extension of the get your house in order warning. Like, I would want to truly make sure that my heir was ready to take over, especially after I've seen a lot of heirs messing up after certain kings pass away. I would trust God to know that it was my time and leave it at that. Yeah, I feel like that, but I'm also not in that circumstance too, of that. For instance, I don't know how, I'd have to go do some math to figure out how old he was. I can say where I am right now. Yeah, if I had a message like that, I'd be cool with it. 20 years ago, I don't know if I'd have been cool with that message. Like, I would have pleaded with God, perhaps, let me have more. Let me see my kids graduate. Let me see my kids get married. You know, I might have made pleas like that. Now my only plea would be let me see grandkids. But frankly, if I never see grandkids, and I may never see grandkids, even if I live, you know. So I get you. But I think our age makes a difference on whether we plead with God or we don't plead with God. Our self-centeredness makes a difference when we plead God or don't plead with God. 20 years ago, you're dealing with a lot of depression, so you'd probably take it as a blessing. Yeah, I know. That's what I just said. I'm thinking there's a lot of different factors in there. Okay. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king. The greatest age of anyone to become king are those who are not yet teenagers. Right? I mean, don't we all want to, replace all the candidates running for office in our countries with preteens? Said no one ever. Okay. His mother was Hephzibah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord and committed the same horrible sins practiced by the nations, whom the Lord drove out before the Israelites. He rebuilt the high places that his father Hezekiah had destroyed. He set up altars for Baal and made an Asherah pole, just as King Ahab of Israel had done. He bowed down to all the stars in the sky and worshipped them. He built altars in the Lord's temple, about which the Lord had said, Jerusalem will be my home. In the two courtyards of the Lord's temple, he built altars for all the stars in the sky. He passed his sons through the fire and practiced divination and omen reading. He set up the ritual pit to conjure up underworld spirits and appointed magicians to supervise it. He did a great amount of evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. He put an idol of Asherah he had made in the temple, about which the Lord had said to David and his son Solomon, this is the temple in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, will be my permanent home. I will not make Israel again leave the land I gave to their ancestors, provided that they carefully obey all I am commanding them, the whole law my servant Moses ordered them to obey. But they did not obey, and Manasseh misled them, so that they sinned more than the nations whom the Lord had destroyed before the Israelites. So, we get a 12-year-old on the throne who is the worst king that Judah has. He does more evil than the kings in Israel do, and part of the reason is because he brings them into the temple. He not only sets up all the other things, he starts bringing pagan practices into the very temple of God. When you're 100, please let me see the Lions win the Super Bowl. Oh, Temple Snail. I hear you. I could see many a person I know making that plea. I did not have faith in them last year. I did not jump on the bandwagon. I do not have faith in them this year. Bold little whippersnapper. Totally. Well, and his mom is listed there too. So I think the influence of mom, and we've seen that before, when you're marrying foreign outside. So clearly Manasseh has a foreign wife that brings in these practices, and she wants to restore the things that dad took down, so gets her son to restore things, and then he goes overboard. He goes way on the other side of it. So the Lord announced through his servant the prophets, King Manasseh of Judah has committed horrible sins. He has sinned more than the Amorites before him, and has encouraged Judah to sin by worshiping his disgusting idols. So this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has said. I'm about to bring disaster on Jerusalem and Judah. The news will reverberate in the ears of those who hear about it. I will destroy Jerusalem the same way I did Samaria in the dynasty of Ahab. I will wipe Jerusalem clean, just as one wipes a plate on both sides. I love that analogy, both sides. So the top side was Israel. The bottom side is Jerusalem. I'm wiping it on both sides. I will abandon the last remaining tribe among my people and hand them over to their enemies. They will be plundered and robbed by all their enemies, because they have done evil in my sight and have angered me from the time their ancestors left Egypt right to this very day. Furthermore, Manasseh killed so many innocent people, he stained Jerusalem with their blood from the end to end, in addition to encouraging Judah to sin by doing evil in the sight of the Lord. Okay, so what is the stain of blood that he does in the innocent people? Does it give us anything in the footnote? Also, Manasseh did very much innocent blood until it filled Jerusalem from mouth to mouth. Okay, so that would be the end to end, but there's so much blood, it's filled up to the level of blood. In this region, it's up to the mouth, another region up to the mouth. So, yeah. Heinous, evil, impolite and evil. The rest of the events of Manasseh's reign and all his accomplishments, as well as the sinful acts he committed. That's interesting. The sinful acts he committed are recorded in the scroll called the Annals of the Kings of Judah. Manasseh passed away and was buried in the palace garden, the garden of Uzzah, and his son Amon replaced him as king. Amon was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Haraz from Jotbah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, just as his father Manasseh had done. He followed in the footsteps of his father and worshipped and bowed down to the disgusting idols that his father had worshipped. He abandoned the Lord God of his ancestors, and he did not follow the Lord's instructions. Amon's servants conspired against him and killed the king in his palace. The people of the land executed all those who had conspired against the king Amon, and they made his son Josiah king in his place. And I know a lot of people probably know King Josiah. The rest of Amon's accomplishments are recorded in the scrolls called the Annals of the Kings of Judah. He was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and his son Josiah replaced him as king. All right. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 31 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Jedidah, daughter of Adiah from Bozkath. He did what the Lord approved and followed his ancestor David's footsteps. He did not deviate to the right or the left. Now that is what we have not seen that. He doesn't deviate to the right or left. So if we go back to our plumb line analogy that I was talking about earlier, you talk about your way of life being a path, the journey that you're on, in a straight path, a narrow path. You don't deviate to the right or left. You stay the course of going and doing the right thing, the good thing, the thing that is best to show love to God, to show the reputation of God, the best thing to love your neighbor as yourself and benefit them above yourself. But he's 8. He's 8. Why are we going to trust an 8-year-old? We just had an awful 12-year-old be king. Now we got an 8-year-old? Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Okay. You probably heard about Josiah. I think just about every kid that grows up in the church remembers King Josiah, because he's a good king, and he was a little kid just like you. Okay, in the 18th year of King Josiah's reign, 18th year. So he's 8 years old, and we get our first story of things he actually does after 18 years of reigning. So he's what, 8 and 18, he's 36, is that right? 26? 26. He's 26. The king sent the scribe Shaphan, son of Azaliah, son of Meshullam, the Meshullam man, to the Lord's temple with these orders. Go up to Hilkiah, the high priest, and have him melt down the silver that has been brought by the people to the Lord's temple, that has been collected by the guards at the door. Have them handed over to the construction foremen assigned to the Lord's temple. They, in turn, should pay the temple workers to repair it, including craftsmen, builders, and masons, should buy wood and chisel stone to repair work. Do not audit the foremen who distribute the silver, for they are honest. We had this phrase one time before. We've had a repair of stuff before, and then we had looting of the temple to pay foreign kings off, and now we're going to get repair again. Hilkiah the high priest informed Shaphat the scribe, I found the scroll of the law in the Lord's temple. Hilkiah gave the scroll to Shaphan, and he read it. Shaphan the scribe went to the king and reported it. Your servants melted down this silver in the temple and handed it over to the construction foreman assigned to the temple. Then Shaphat the scribe told the king, Hilkiah the priest has given me a scroll. Shaphat read it aloud before the king. When the king heard the words of the law scroll, he tore his clothes. The king ordered Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam, son of Shaphan, Akbar, son of Micaiah, Shaphan the scribe, and Asaiah, the king's servant, go seek an oracle from the Lord for me and the people, for all of Judah. Find out about the words of this scroll that has been discovered. The Lord's great fury has been ignited against us because our ancestors did not obey the words of this scroll by doing all that it instructs us to do. Okay. We get excited about this. They find a scroll that they don't know and all of that. Here's what I want to focus on a second. The kings are supposed to make a copy for themselves so they know what to do and how to read. The first thing the kings are supposed to do when they take office is make their own copy. The priests have a copy that is in the temple for worship. Somewhere along the way, a scroll is hidden away, left abandoned, and forgotten, and the priests have their copies wiped out, my guess is, when there's one of these replacements that takes place of getting rid of and putting other things going on, other worship going on. So somewhere along the lines, it gets eliminated. We don't know how long ago. And the kings don't have their copy anymore. A king easily could have abandoned it, thrown it out, not made his own copy. So I just wonder which of the 5 books of the Torah is it? Which of the 5 books of the Torah is it going to be? I'm not sure which one, or maybe it's more than one. But anyway, ads in 30 seconds. Oh, okay, thanks. I didn't realize we were that far along. Thank you. We'll go to fishies before we keep reading. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-bum. There was a fish trapped under the plant there, so I freed him, but I don't know if he's okay or not. Don't know if he's okay or not. You got a basketball ads. Yeah, pretty fishies, thanks. I'm saying ads end in 50 seconds. All right, so we're going to be back in a second. If you want to check out. So I've started another stream channel, and I put it up over weekends right now, but But I will be gone on vacation next week. So, One Dapper Koi Pond will be up all next week, 24/7. And I have an underground cam as well that I put up. What I might do, you got the Navy, you got Gail. You often get that. So I will have these up, and I won't be able to change what I put up. What I've been doing is changing the scenes on them. Oh, let me make sure I take the sound off. Otherwise, we'll just keep hearing water in the background. I've been changing the scenes. Spam detector. Ha ha. Did it work? Is it real? I'm going to guess so. I've only had that happen once or twice, so. Anyway. So you can go check out One Dapper Koi Pond starting on Friday sometime. We'll be going 24/7 for over a week. Over a week. So that'll be around if you want to check it out. So I haven't done the underground cam on this stream very often, I don't think. Or at least this year I haven't. I just did get it up, but I don't have a separate computer to run everything on. So, I'm going to Cancun. I'll be going to Cancun with our friends from Iowa and a different set of friends from, I think it's North Carolina. I can't remember if it's North or South Carolina. So this will be our 5th year going with our friends from Iowa. We think it's pretty nice hanging out at Cancun in the middle of summer. He's a band teacher, so his vacations are in the summer. Our other friends, he's in the military, so he can only go with short notice, with like a month to plan. Here's when we can go. So we knew we were going in July. This is when it turned out to be. And so anyway, we like going, hanging out there. And I have done live streams of turtles before, laying eggs on the beach. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. But my other stream will be up the whole time that you can go check out. So. And I did put in your. Oh, no, I didn't do that. I was going to add the song about the fish when I go to the fish channel. I haven't done that yet. I need to get that added. So. Okay. So, we've got a scroll found. Why is it hidden? Why does nobody know about it? Well, if you don't know about it, how can you actually follow it? Yeah. So I'm gonna add the song about the dapper fish. So when I go to the fish pond for a minute, we can play that song while we're doing the fish. So, you want a refrigerator magnet? Of what? What do you want? What do you want on the magnet? I haven't. Well, I can't yet, but because I just got started on the other channel, I haven't got any emotes or any. Oh, from Cancun. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, now I got you. I was missing the thought there. So now it makes sense. I thought you were thinking of something else stream related to have magnets, because I know some people have magnets and stickers. I've got some funny merch, and not a lot of people have bought any of it. And I'm also thinking of getting a merch store started for Bless Community, Bless White Lake, and probably do that when I get back from vacay. So, all right, let's keep going. I've got a little time today. Let me just check my schedule, see if there is anything I need to think about. Nope, there is nothing that I need to do. Selling some flat caps. See, I would love to, actually. The problem is, well, wow, actually, that's a thought. What if I could get flat caps on the wholesale and started a flat cap shop? What else would I sell in that shop? Sorry, just a weird thought of. What if I went into retail sales selling flat caps? I don't know. An ad for Blessing Boat? What do you mean by that, Lucis? What would I do an ad for? I mean, how would I do an ad for Blessing Boat? I mean, I have I post what Blessing Boat does. And by the way, yeah, Blessing Boat is Kangle sponsored this man. You need to check if Spotify has a store that you can add. Oh, Shopify. True, true, but I would have to get the flat caps from somewhere and then resell them, and I don't know about that. Ah, okay, Trigger Boss. I see what you're saying. So I just have a store front. I advertise my store front, and they're shipped from the other person that owns them. Hmm. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about that. Because I could do really well at promoting them. Get normal caps from a thrift store and sit up equals wholesale flat caps. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I wouldn't need the caps. Uh, I don't know if there's enough places that have those. Yeah, I can say I first like when I go to look, I only have found maybe I don't know about 5 or 6 places in the U.S. I can order them from, but maybe there's more and I just haven't found them. Gamer flat caps instead of gamer fitted caps, a new trend. I don't know if I'm any kind of trendsetter. That's okay. All right, let's get back. Let's get back to our text instead of talking about hats. So Hilkiah the priest, Ahiakim, Akbor, not General Akbor, I think. Sepha and Asaiah went to Huldah the prophetess, the wife of Shalom, son of Tikvah, the son of Harhas, the supervisor of the wardrobe. She lived in Jerusalem in Mishnah district. They stated their business, and she said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has said. Say this to the man who sent you to me. This is what the Lord has said. I am about to bring disaster on this place and its residents. All the things in the scroll that the king of Judah has read. This will happen because they have abandoned me and offered sacrifices to other gods, angering me with all the idols they have made. My anger will ignite against this place and will not be extinguished. Say this to the king of Judah, who sent you to seek an oracle from the Lord. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has said concerning the words you have heard." Okay, I don't want to go any further. I want to go check out her name. So they all go to Huldah the prophetess. So we're in 2 Kings 22. Okay, what does her name mean? Boom, on top of the words. All right. Hey, K9.
468.
Welcome in.
Huldah.
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 Huldah. Weasel. uh, okay. That's an interesting thing. Her name is Weasel. Often I think names are trying to tell us something about what's going on. I don't know that here Weasel is telling us that anything in particular is going on. So they went to the prophetess Weasel. Okay. Moving along. You displayed a sensitive spirit and humbled yourself before the Lord when you heard how I intended to make this place and its residence into an appalling example of an accursed people. You tore your clothes and wept before me, and I have heard you, says the Lord. Therefore, I will allow you to die and be buried in peace. You will not have to witness all the disaster I will bring on this place. Then they reported back to the king. Okay, so look at the contrast here that Josiah has with, was it Hezekiah? I'm trying to remember. But grandfather who gets a message and is like, yeah, well, at least it won't happen in my lifetime. He reads the scroll, finds out the commands of God, knows that they've sinned, knows what the answer is going to be, and is like, behindthename.com. I do not. What is that, Sprint East? The king summoned all the leaders of Judah and Jerusalem. The king went up to the Lord's temple, accompanied by all the people of Judah, all the residents of Jerusalem, the priests and the prophets. All the people were there, from the youngest to the oldest. He read aloud all the words of the scroll of the covenant that had been discovered in the Lord's temple. The king stood by the pillar and renewed the covenant before the Lord, agreeing to follow the Lord and to obey his commands, laws, and rules with all his heart, being by carrying out the terms of the covenant recorded in the scroll. All the people agreed to keep the covenant. Oh, okay. Behind the name, a good one for searching the meaning of all names. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I don't usually look up names outside of the Bible, but occasionally I do. Okay, so thinking of which of the Torah it possibly could be. I don't think that it is Genesis, because in Genesis there's not a lot of instructions. There's not a lot of here's things you should do, here's things you don't do. What it says, covenant of the law. I want to go with, I think it's Exodus or Deuteronomy. I think it's one of those. Yeah, oh yeah, they're going to have Bible names too? Oh, totally. Totally get that. But we don't know. It doesn't say which one. Doesn't say which one. But he reads it out loud. All the people agree to it. This sounds like Mount Sinai. I know there's at least another king who did a similar fashion and manner. So I don't know if this is the third king that does it. I don't. Those are the things I would like to keep track of, but there's so few of them. It's hard to remember how many of those did that. Okay. The king ordered Hilkiah, the high priest, the high-ranking priest, and the guards to bring out of the Lord's temple all the items that were used in the worship of Baal, Asherah, all the stars of the sky. The king buried them outside of Jerusalem in the terraces of Kidron and carried their ashes to Bethel. He eliminated the pagan priests, whom the kings of Judah had appointed to offer sacrifices on the high places in the cities of Judah and in the area right around Jerusalem. They offered sacrifices to Baal, the sun god, the moon god, the constellations, and all the stars in the sky. He removed the Asherah poles from the Lord's temple and took it outside Jerusalem to the Kidron Valley, where he burned it. He smashed it to dust and then threw the dust in the public graveyard. He tore down the quarters of the male cultic prostitutes in the Lord's temple, where women were wearing weaving shrines for Asherah. Sorry, my brain was reading the wrong words there. Weaving shrines. He brought all the priests from the city of Judah and ruined the high places where the priests had offered sacrifices. From Geba to Beersheba, he tore down the high places of the goat idols situated in the entrance of the gate of Jerusalem, the city officials on the left side of the city gate. Now the priest of the high places did not go up the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat unleavened cakes among their fellow priests. The king ruined Topha in the valley of Ben Hinnom so that no one could pass his sons or daughters through the fire of Molech. He removed from the entrance of the Lord's temple the statue of horses the king of Judah had placed in honor of the sun god. They were kept near the room of Nathan Melech, the eunuch, which was situated among the courtyards. He burned up the chariots devoted to the sun god. The king tore down the altars the kings of Judah had set up on the roof of Ahaz's upper room, as well as the altars Manasseh had set up in the 2 courtyards of the Lord's temple. He crushed them and threw the dust in the Kidron Valley. The king ruined the high places east of Jerusalem, south of the Mount of Destruction. That King Solomon of Israel had built for detestable Sidonian goddess Ashtoreth, the detestable Moabite god Chemosh, and horrible Ammonite god Milcom. He smashed the sacred pillars to bits, cut the Asherah poles, and filled those shrines with human bones. Hey, Hap, welcome in. Prayer time. Let me know what you need prayer for. We're reading about what Josiah did once he learned about the missing scroll of God's law that told them about all the things they should have been doing and what they shouldn't have been doing and the consequences of that they were already violating. I kind of feel like my guess would be maybe it's Deuteronomy. I don't know, because Deuteronomy is like a summation of the whole law, but it could be other ones. Don't know. I mean, certainly Leviticus would be an interesting one to have been the one that was missing. All right, I'll give you another couple. If you're typing out, Hap, what you need prayer for, just let me know. I'll just keep reading. Oh, there it goes. Hey, I hate to interrupt, but would love some prayer. My son is old enough to figure out manipulative crying and screaming to get what he wants. He cries. Used to give me panic attacks like bad mental health problems. I'm much better, but this is a new phase we need to figure out. Ooh. You're upstairs trying to work. The hubby is downstairs trying to take care for baby. Okay. Yeah, the different stages of how people, or I should just say kids, and then, people figure out behavioral things that get responses that they want and who they work on and who they don't work on, how to respond properly. Oh, that's a trying time for parents. It's a trying time for parents. The biggest thing I would say is you and hubby being in agreement on how to respond and who responds is part of the biggest thing with kids, is that they cannot drive a wedge or manipulate between the two of you, that you're unified in those things. Even if it's a matter of, I can't be the one to do the punishment of this child when this happens that the other one does, that's still okay, I think, as long as you're in agreement, as opposed to one saying, I'm abandoning my role in this and I'm not going to reinforce your role, or one being the bad cop and the other being the good cop as parents. That's a horrible, horrible thing to do. So, all right. Let's go ahead and pray. God, we're just going to lift up Hap, her son, what is going through right now of being able to learn how to be selfish and to cry and to try to get their way. We know that's all part of learning too and growing, and it's trying as parents. And so just be with Hap and with her husband and watch over that whole circumstance, that whole situation. Be with them right now. They're trying to work, they're trying to do things, they're trying to raise a family, they're trying to be loving and kind and gracious. Grant them wisdom, grant them patience, and may their love abound. May their child learn and grow and learn to have love for others more than love for self. And through it all, may your presence be known, that you are there, that you know and understand this struggle very much, and that you love You love them all, and you are with them. God, I just pray this for anyone else who has struggles in their life right now with family members, that you just watch over them and give them wisdom and direction and guidance and patience and endurance. Give them what they're in need of for today and direction for what they need in tomorrow. And just pray this all in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. So, no worries on the interruption of prayer anytime. That's why I have it there. That's why, I don't know, I set it at a weird number like 7, being the number of totality of completeness, because right now we completely need to go to prayer. So, thanks, Hap. Blessings on your day. I'm just thinking, wow, how long ago was that circumstance in my kid's life? That was quite some time ago. Anyway, enough nostalgia on my part. Okay. Back to our king. Alice! Hola! Welcome in. Welcome in, friend. Hope you're having a blessed day. Hope your day is being blessed. Okay, so King Josiah continuing. He also tore down the altar in Bethel at the high place made by Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who encouraged Israel to sin. So he's even going into Israel's territory and tearing things down. Yeah, the different stages of parenthood. Oh, yeah, totally. So he's not just restricted to Judah. He's going into, because Israel as a whole. So he's where he has access, he's doing that. Blessed with bad internet and bone pain. Oh, no. What kind of bone pain? And I'm sorry about your bad internet. I don't know what to do with. And yes, it's afternoon for you, Alice. It's still morning for me, and some people are evening. It's just pain? Okay. Okay. I didn't know if it's anything specific. Well, praying for that to be relieved, Alice. Lucis is going to ask for prayer time for that. Yep. Probably something to do with your funky blood. Oh, I don't know if I know about that. I don't know of I only know of a couple of blood disorders. Don't know a lot of them. Yeah, Lucy, you know me too well. Oh, I know. That's well, you know. I should know my mods well enough to know that. Comfrey can heal bones. Alice, my medical knowledge is my wife is a nurse, and so she talks about different aspects in the medical world, and also as a pastor, having visited a lot of people in hospitals over the years with different things. I have accumulated things that that someone may have had. So, yeah. So I do, like, hemophilia is a blood disease where you can't clot your blood. I do know other people that had like anemia, where they have low. I think it's low iron. Am I right on that? But and then other people that have aneurysms and or bleeding where they're losing blood, and so I've run into a few different ones, and then even some people with some toxicity in their bloodstream. So not a lot of them, but occasionally do hear about different ones. So, but I was wondering on the pain there. Yeah, anemic, cold in the summertime, literally. Yep. So, all right, we'll pray for you, Alice. God, we're just going to pray for Alice of all that's going on with pain. We know that you can take care of that and you can bring healing. And so we're going to pray for the pain to subside, for you to take that, and for you to relieve and bring comfort in the midst of that. And for whatever might be going on with blood. Says managed to get a bone test done, but not managed to contact a doctor. Okay, you have a history of anemia, that your family has a history of PV. So God, we're just praying for Alice, that you bring her strength, you bring her comfort, you bring her healing, you bring her whatever she is in need of for today. We pray that she will get in contact with this doctor, and if there are other things that can be done, other things that can happen, that you will bring restoration, you'll bring your glory, you will make your presence known in the midst of it too, and walk alongside of her. God, just pray this all, and thank you for this. And anyone else who's dealing with pain. So whatever it might be, physical pain, bone pain, blood pain, emotional pain, just watch over them today. Give them comfort and peace. Just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. There's a throw. Oh, yeah. You have a throw there so you can grab it when you're cold. Okay. So, yes, Alice, you are important, valued, and loved. Yes. Everyone in the chat is. Everyone is. They are loved by God. They are loved by those of us who are in here. Alice, you too. Says you too. Yes, absolutely. Uncle Diddy. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I think he goes at 11 with his Bible study. Am I right on that? I'm watching that Mondays his Bible studies at 11. So I'm thankful that most of the time my health is good. My wife, hers is an ongoing thing, and so we just try to manage what it is, and that's kind of where we are. All right, so he's going to Bethel. He's tearing down the high places that were all the way back to when Israel first began to sin. Okay. Yeah, his prayer's at 11. Okay, that's what I was thinking. His prayer's at 11. Okay. He burned all the combustible items at the high place and crushed them to dust, including the Asherah poles. Look at the repetition here of here, and here, and here, and also over here. And he left no stone unturned until he could find more, and he did that as well. I love the it just seems like, come on, you could have just told us he destroyed them all. No. We've taken all this time in this book to talk about where they were placed, and we're going to replay it all for you in the destruction in one sitting. When Josiah turned around, he saw the tombs there on the hill. So he ordered the bones from the tombs to be brought. He burned them on the altar and defiled it, just as the Lord's message that was announced by the prophet while Jeroboam stood by the altar during the festival, that the king turned and saw the grave of the prophets who had foretold this. Okay, where was that one? This recalls the prophecy recorded in 1 Kings 13:2. The Masoretic text is much shorter than this. It reads, according to the words of the Lord, which the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed the words. The LXX has a much longer text at this point. Okay, I just want to know what was in there. He cried out against the altar of the Lord's message. Oh, I remember this now. Oh, altar. This is what the Lord says. Look, a son named Josiah will be born to the Davidic line. He will sacrifice on you the priest of the high places who offer sacrifices on you. Human bones will be burned on you. Oh, so these are the bones of all of the priests of the high places. They're getting buried there. He sees them and he's burning them on the altar. whoa! And I don't remember, it said, look, a son named Josiah. Okay, so we were talking about earlier how prophecy can come about, and how much do you need to see to know it's accurate. This is spot on. A king named Josiah is burning bones on the altar, and this was a cry to the altar that was made. Woo! Woo! So he's defiling it because he's burning the human bones of the priest, of the altar, on the altar itself. Okay. Just as the Lord's message had been announced by the... Oh, I read that. He asked, what is the grave marker I see? The men of the city replied, it's the grave of the prophet who came from Judah and foretold that everything you have done to the altar of Bethel. The king said, leave it alone. No one must touch his bones. So they left his bones undisturbed, as well as the bones of the Israelites' prophet buried beside him. So we had the prophets buried, they're not getting touched. But those priests of the false gods, they're getting their bones burned. That's interesting. Josiah also removed the shrines and the high places in the cities of Samaria. See, he's cleaning the northern kingdom, even though he's not there. Even though this is under the reign of the king of Assyria, he's going and destroying the high places of worship. I mean, this is bold. This is bold. He's going into another territory that used to be God's territory, and he's trying to restore the territory to God. The kings of Israel had made them and angered the Lord. He did to them what he had done to the high place in Bethel. He sacrificed all the priests of the high places on the altars located there, and he burned the human bones on them. Then he returned to Jerusalem. Oh, I think also, if there are actual priests still around, they're getting killed for worshiping the foreign gods, as well as the bones of the previous ones. The king ordered all the people, observe the Passover of the Lord your God as prescribed in the scroll of the covenant. So apparently they haven't been obeying the Passover. So think about this. If what you're supposed to do annually is have a Passover feast to remember God delivered you out of Egypt, and you suddenly stop remembering and celebrating that God led you out of Egypt. I mean, just think about this. If this were to happen in any country, and I know there's a whole bunch of social or secular things thrown on these festivals, but just what if suddenly the church as a whole stopped celebrating Easter and stopped celebrating Christmas and did not have those celebrations at all? How long would it take for the church to stray away from God? I don't think it'd take too long. If we stop celebrating Resurrection Sunday, if we stop celebrating birth of Christ, and I don't think that one's as important, by the way. I don't think that one's as important. But that one's pointing to the other one. And those are the big two that we have, not the 5 that they had in Israel or the other ones that are connected with. I think there's a total of 7, but there's 5 majors, or 3 majors. And then others connected with their, like, unleavened bread and Passover are 2 different ones, but they're together as one major feast. So that's what I mean by that. Okay. So he's ordered, observe the Passover of the Lord as prescribed in the scroll of the covenant. He issued the edict because a Passover like this had not been observed since the days of the judges who led Israel. It was neglected for the entire period of the kings of Israel and Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah's reign, such a Passover of the Lord was observed in Jerusalem. So that's saying King David never observed the Passover in Jerusalem. Well, that's fascinating. It goes back to the time of the kings, or before the time of the kings. They haven't done it. Josiah got rid of the ritual pits used to conjure up spirits, the magicians, personal idols, distinguishing images, and all the detestable idols that had appeared in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem. In this way, he carried out the terms of the law recorded on the scroll that Hilkiah, the priest, had discovered in the Lord's temple. No king before or after repented before the Lord as he did with his whole heart, soul, and being in accordance with the whole law of Moses. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? And like him, there was not a king before who returned to the Lord with his whole heart and with his whole soul and with his whole being, according to the law of Moses. And after was none arose like him. The description of Josiah's devotion is involving his whole heart, soul, and being, echoes the language of Deuteronomy 6, the Shema. The hero Israel, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your being. Yes. He's Shemaing all over the place. He is carrying out the Shema, which might give an indicator, like I was saying, maybe it's Deuteronomy that he finds. Maybe it's Deuteronomy that he finds. If you think about it, which would be the easiest to lose would be Deuteronomy at the end, which is, here's all the repetition of everything that's happened. Here's all the commands of everything you're to do when you go into the land. You know, here's the choose, O Israel, who you'll serve today. I mean, it's all there. So it could be Deuteronomy. We don't know. Yet the Lord's great anger against Judah did not subside. He was still furious by all the things Manasseh had done. The Lord announced, I will also spurn Judah just as I spurned Israel. I will reject this city that I chose, both Israel and the temple, about which I said I will live there. So it's like, too late. Too late. You've had all this time. This is the first time you've done the Passover. So unlike with Moses, Josiah does not get God to relent from the calamity that he's promised. Unlike Nineveh, God doesn't relent from the calamity that's announced. The rest of the events of Josiah's reign and all his accomplishments are recorded in the scrolls called the Annals of the Kings of Judah. During Josiah's reign, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, marched towards the Euphrates River to help the king of Assyria. King Josiah marched out to fight him, but Necho killed him at Megiddo. When he saw him, his servants transported his dead body from Megiddo in a chariot and brought him to Jerusalem, where they buried him in his tomb. The people of the land took Josiah's son, Jehoaz, poured olive oil on his head, and made him king in his father's place. Jehoaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. Yeah, not a long reign there, buddy. Most of the kings of Judah are a lot longer than this. We saw some short ones in Israel, but this might be the shortest one in Judah. His mother was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah from Libnah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord as his ancestors had done. So even though Josiah is such an upright person, his son does evil. Pharaoh Necho imprisoned him in Riblah in the land of Hamath and prevented him from ruling Jerusalem. He imposed on the land a special tax of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. Pharaoh Necho made Josiah's son Elkim king in Josiah's place and changed his name to Jehoiakim. He took Jehoaz to Egypt, where he died. Jehoiakim paid Pharaoh the required amount of silver and gold, but to meet Pharaoh's demand, Jehoiakim had to tax the land. He collected an assessment amount for each man among the people of the land to pay Pharaoh Necho. So Pharaoh comes in, Josiah is killed, son is made king, that son is hauled away by Pharaoh. He sets up a brother as king. Yeah, he literally reigned for a season. True. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Zebedah, the daughter of Pedaiah from Rumah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord as his ancestors did. So even notice this. Even as good as King Josiah was, he at least had 2 wives because he has 2 sons by 2 different women. So, just saying. He was a man after God's own heart. He loved God with his whole heart, soul, and being, and he still had multiple wives. Okay, how many chapters we got here in 2 Kings? Oh, we got 2 left. We got 2 left. I think we can finish Kings today. I think I'll go for it. Let's go for it. During Jehoiakim's reign, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon attacked. Jehoiakim was his subject for 3 years, but then he rebelled against him. The Lord sent against him Babylonian, Syrian, Moabite, and Ammonite raiding bands. He sent them to destroy Judah, just at the Lord's message that he had announced through his servant the prophets. Just as the Lord had announced, he rejected Judah because of the sins that Manasseh had committed, because he killed innocent people and stained Jerusalem with their blood. The Lord was unwilling to forgive them. This is so interesting. It's the innocent blood Manasseh shed was too powerful, but it doesn't tell us who the innocent blood that Manasseh shed was. We don't know what that was. What is that referring to? I don't know exactly. The rest of the events of Jehoiakim's reign and all his accomplishments are recorded in the scrolls of the annals of the kings of Judah. He passed away, and his son Jehoiachin replaced him as king. The king of Egypt did not march out from his land again, for the king of Babylon conquered all the territory that the king of Egypt had formerly controlled between the stream of Egypt and the Euphrates River. So, or whom it was. Yeah. Right. Well, the innocent blood to me sounds like multiple people that he has killed. Like multiple people. So, are these children? Are these foreigners? Are these servants of God? Are they prophets? Like, who was it that Manasseh wiped out without just cause? Doesn't give us a full explanation. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king. He was old enough to vote, and he voted for himself as king. Oh, sorry, just kidding. And he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother, Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan from Jerusalem, he did evil in the sight of the Lord as his ancestors did. So we have Hezekiah, good king, does great stuff, does restoration, son Manasseh, worst king there ever was, undoes all the good that his father does. Grandson comes along, Josiah, finally does good, finally does find the law, finally does institute it, and afterwards, boom, not good, not happening. You could vote for yourself as king? Well, why wouldn't you? I'd vote for myself as king. Actually, what's funny, I just heard this, I can't remember where it was. It was an election that was the first, wherever it was the first ever 100% vote for the victor. Even the person that lost voted for the person that won. 100% of the votes went to the winner. I mean, it's just as astounding. Like, yeah, I'm not even voting for myself. I'm voting for the other guy. I can't remember where that was. I thought that was funny. At that time, the generals of the king Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon marched to Jerusalem and besieged the city. King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to the city while the generals were besieging it. King Jehoiachin of Judah, along with his mother, his servants, his officials, and his eunuchs, surrendered to the king of Babylon. The king of Babylon, in his eighth year of his reign, took Jehoiachin prisoner. Nebuchadnezzar took from there all the riches, the treasuries of the Lord's temple, and the royal palace. He removed all the gold items that King Solomon of Israel had made for the Lord's temple, just as the Lord had warned. So notice, anything that has remained to this day that Solomon made, they're all being hauled off. What's not listed specifically yet is the Ark of the Covenant, because it's not made by Solomon. It predates him. Okay? And anything made later may or may have already been gone. So anything left that remained that Solomon made, All those articles carried off, which would include, I believe, the cherubims. The giant cherubims are being hauled off, as well as vessels for worship, because we'll find those show up later. He deported all residents of Jerusalem, including all the officials and all the soldiers, 10,000 people in all. This included all the craftsmen and all those who worked with metal. No one was left except the poorest among the people of the land. Okay, so we just said he deported all, including all. And then it says no one was left except for the poorest of the poor in the land. So even when, like, if it didn't leave that other statement there, we would know there were still some left. Even when it says all were taken away, you still are leaving a remnant behind. All is all that were important, all that were valuable. Those that were worthless were left. He deported Jehoiachin from Jerusalem to Babylon, along with the king's mother and wives, plural, his eunuchs and his high-ranking officials of the land. Oh, by the way, when I was mentioning Josiah and these other kings had multiple wives, Josiah may have already had these wives before he got the law that told him maybe he shouldn't multiply wives, but we don't know anything further in that regard. So shouldn't read into that more than other than pointing out it was still practice was all I was trying to do. Okay, so wives plural. The king of Babylon deported to Babylon all the soldiers. There were 7,000. 7, the number of totality, he deported all of them, as well as 1,000 craftsmen and metal workers. This included all the best warriors. The king of Babylon made Mattanah, Jehoiachin's uncle, king in Jehoiachin's place. He named him Zedekiah. So he hauls away a king. He sets up an uncle as a puppet king. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah from Libnah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, as Jehoiakim had done. What follows is a record of what happened to Jerusalem and Judah because of the Lord's anger. He finally threw them out of his presence. Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. So, this is going to be the last king, and we're going to finish it all. So, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came against Jerusalem with his whole army and set up camp outside it. He built siege ramps all around it. He arrived on the 10th day of the 10th month in the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign. Alice, I can't stop stopping. These names are from an alternate version of Magic Roundtable. Well, if there's a name you want to look up, let me know. I'll gladly look any of the names up. I mean, if they're striking you like they sound familiar and you want to know what they mean, I love looking names up, Alice. So just let me know, because I've been skipping a bunch of these because they do have Aya in the name here, which would say something about God, or El will say something about God. I don't know what Kim is. Jehoiakim. I don't know what that would have. But anyway, let me know if you want to. And you know what we should do? We should look up Nebuchadnezzar anyway. So I'll do that to start with.
Strong's H 5019. Nebuchadnezzar.
Ooh.
Nebuchadnezzar.
May Nebu protect the crown. Who's Nebu? I'm guessing that's a god. Okay. The city remained under siege until King Zedekiah's 11th year. By the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine in the city was so severe the residents had no food. The enemy broke through the city walls, and all the soldiers tried to escape. They left the city during the night. They went through the gate between the two walls, which is near the king's garden. The Babylonians were all around the city. Then they headed for the Rift Valley, but the Babylonian army chased after the king. They caught up with him in the Rift Valley plains of Jericho, and his entire army deserted him. They captured the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, where he passed sentence on him. Zedekiah's sons were executed while Zedekiah was forced to watch. The king of Babylon then had Zedekiah's eyes put out, bound him with bronze chains, and carried him off to Babylon. Zebedee is the magic roundabout and not Zebediah or whatever you're saying, though. Oh, okay. Sons of Zebedee is another reference in, but Zedekiah, right here. Let's go look that up. Who was Zebedee? I'm trying to remember. My brain is just stuck in what we're at now. Zedekiah. Oh, that's right, that's right. Sons of Zebedee, he's the fisherman in the New Testament. Also a red thing on a spring? Oh, okay. Okay.
Strong's H 6667. Sidkiyahu. Sidkiyahu.
Okay. So God is righteousness. I know we'd looked it up before. Yeah, Sons of Thunder. Yes, exactly, Lucis. God is righteous, is the king. By the way, I believe Jeremiah tells him not to flee and he will live, and if he flees, that all these things will happen. But we have to go get to Jeremiah to remember all those things. So, well, let me just see if I can look up Zebedee. If I spell it right, it might show up. So we can look up Zebedee. I don't remember looking his name up when we were there.
Strong's G
my gift.
2199. Zebedias. Zebedias.
Okay, so Zebedias would be the Hebrew. Or, I mean, Zebedee is the English. Zebedias would be the Greek. Zabdi, endowment.
Strong's H 2067. Zabdi. Zabdi.
Oh, yeah, totally easy to get confused by names when they're not names you're used to. Well, one is God is righteousness. The other is like a gift and endowment. So, yeah, one is specifically related to God in the name. The other isn't. But you couldn't, yeah, very close. Okay, where were we? Oh, okay, watch the execution forced to, okay, there we go. On the 7th day of the 5th month, in the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, the king, or the captain of the royal guard who served the king of Babylon, arrived in Jerusalem. He burned down the Lord's temple, the royal palace, and all the houses in Jerusalem, including every large house. The whole Babylonian army that came with the captain of the royal guard tore down the walls that surrounded Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar and the captain of the royal guard deported the rest of the people who were left in the city, those who had deserted the king of Babylon, and the rest of the craftsmen. And he left behind some of the poor of the land and gave them fields and vineyards. Okay, so interesting. We already had, he deported all of the craftsmen. Now he's deporting more craftsmen. How could you have deported all earlier if you are deporting some now? Some could see that as a contradiction. I don't. It's just military language describing victory, and it was total victory. He took away everybody he wanted to. He found some reason to take away more people later on. And then what does he do? There's vineyards there. Let the poor have them and care for them, then I can exploit them, and they will be faithful to me because I gave them land, and they can give me wine, or they can give me oil, or whatever is produced on their land. Mage, Lot's wife, that got turned into salt when she looked behind and disobeyed. God looks so cinematic in Genesis, I think, when God poured out fire and brimstone in Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see that as a very cinematic kind of view. And here you've got it again. The judgment on the people as a whole for not worshiping and serving God, for not trusting in God. And there was specific that the king was supposed to trust in God, and he would have, I can't remember exactly what it was. If he'd have been safe or his sons would have been safe, one of those two. Instead, he's told, if you flee, you will die, you'll lose your king, and your sons will die. There's something in, I want to say it's Jeremiah. I might be wrong. It could be Isaiah, but I think it's Jeremiah. But I am not, like, the two books I'm probably the weakest in all of Scripture is Jeremiah and Isaiah. They are way big books. I have a hard time keeping my brain wrapped around everything that happens in those. Them just escaping Sodom and Gomorrah and ordered not to look back, but Lot's wife looked behind. Yeah. Yep. Also there, like, those being delivered, those being left, and then even Lot and his daughters have to be dragged out of the city by the angels. Like, they were, I don't know, longing for the city too, but or paralyzed by fear to be able to move. The Babylonians broke the 2 bronze pillars in the Lord's temple, as the movable stands of the big bronze basin called the sea. They took the bronze to Babylon. They also took the pots, shovels, trimming shears, pans, and all the bronze utensils used by the priests. The captain of the royal guard took the gold and silver censers, the basins, the bronze, and the items that King Solomon made for the temple, including the 2 pillars, the big bronze basin called the sea, the 12 bronze bowls under the sea, and the movable stand was too heavy to be weighed. Okay, so interesting. We had the removal of the bowls. My brain was saying removable. Removal of the bowls under the sea by one of the other kings, but here it's saying they still had to be around. So maybe Josiah replaced them. We didn't bother to get it mentioned. Maybe he put them back. Each of the pillars was about 27 feet high. The bronze top of one pillar was 4.5 feet high and had bronze lattice work and pomegranate-shaped ornaments all around it. The second pillar with the lattice work was like it. The captain of the royal guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah. There we have another Z-iah. Oh, shoot. I didn't know the ad break was coming. Wow. Felt like we just had one. Let me find, do I have it downloaded? I'll play it if I can find it a second. No ads here? Okay. Oh, I know where I can find it. Well, it told me the ads are happening and the ads will end, so we'll just see. But anyway, let me find the song for the fishies to play for you. Oh, Zebulon is a French word. The Jack in the Box like Fire Wizard or something. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I did not know that. Fascinating, Alice. Okay. It's going to be general chat, I believe. Here we go.
Flat cat pasture rocks his tree, streaming life by the reeds. Fish pond calm and glassy clear, view it all right from here.
Gets low.
Rapper man with sax
Okay.
in hand, plays tunes by his quiet land. Acoustic guitar in the breeze serenades the fish with ease. Watch the fish, they swim along to the rhythm of his song. Flat cat pasture shows the way, stream it live come what may. With his cam he shows it all, little fish both big and small. Life in pond so serene, nature's beauty on a screen.
Yeah, Alice, it was AI generated. Trigger Boss made it, so I don't know what he used.
Gentle glow, flat cap's charm and calming tone makes the fish feel right at home.
I like that line.
Watch the fish, they swim along to the rhythm of his song. Flat cat pasture shows the way, stream it live come what may.
All right, there we go. I played it for you. I got to get that added so when I switch to that screen, we can have that go live. Let me download that while I have it here. It's downloading. Oh no, don't pause. Okay.
What's the fastest way to get relief for toenail?
Yeah, sorry. That was from earlier. I need to go check that out. Anyway, let's finish this up. We're close to the end. The end is near, my friends, of the kingdom of Judah. Okay. Yeah, isn't it cool? Yeah, like my music that I've got all, yeah, white toenail fungus. Ooh, I don't know, Alice. I have no idea why that ad popped up. Well, I don't know what it says or what it thought I was looking at or what it overheard. Who knows? My phone is always listening. Okay, the captain of the royal guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah the priest, who was second in rank, and the 3 doorkeepers from the city. He took a eunuch who was in charge of the soldiers, 5 of the king advisors who were discovered in the city, an official army secretary who drafted citizens for military service, and 60 citizens from the people of the land who were discovered in the city. Nebuzaradan, captain of the royal guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon in Riblah. The king of Babylon ordered them to be executed at Riblah in the territory of Hamath. So Judah was deported from the land. I think this also connects with if you give yourself up, your life will be spared. And if you don't, it will not. So we have the historical recording of some of these events here in the summary that has to do with what the prophets were saying elsewhere. But we don't have the intermixing of the prophet stuff here, just the reporting of what happened. Confuse snails with nails. That could be it. Now King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon appointed Gedaliah, son of Hakam, son of Shaphan, as governor over the people, whom he allowed to remain in the land of Judah. All the officers of the Judahite army and their troops heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah to govern. So they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. The officers who came were Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, Johanna, son of Korah, and Sariah, son of Tehumeth, and Netophathite, the Nephophthite, and Jaazaniah, son of of the Maacathite. Gedaliah took an oath so as to give them and their troops some assurance of safety. He said, you don't need to be, you don't need to be afraid to submit to the Babylonian officials. Settle down in the land and submit to the king of Babylon. Then things will go well for you. But in the 7th month, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Ishilamah, who was a member of the royal family, came with 10 of his men and murdered Gedaliah, as well as the Judeans and Babylonians who were with him at Mizpah. Then all the people from the youngest to the oldest, as well as the army officers, left for Egypt because they were afraid of what Babylonians might do. So, people are not doing submission. They're still trying to rebel against the king, even though God has said, you're all supposed to do this. You're all supposed to, and not go to Egypt, not go at, and they're doing what they're not supposed to. I know we weren't told here what it's supposed to, but I know one of the other prophets tells them what they're supposed to do at the end, and they're not doing the right thing. In the 37 years of the exile of King Jehoiachin of Judah, on the 27th day of the 12th month, King Evil Mordok of Babylon, King Evil Mordok, in the first year of his reign, pardoned King Jehoiachin of Jerusalem and released him from prison. He spoke kindly to him and gave him a prestigious position that the other kings who were with him in Babylon. Jehoiachin took off his prison clothes and ate daily in the king's presence for the rest of his life. He was given daily provision by the king for the rest of his life until the day he died. That is interesting. Okay, what book are we next? Is that 1st and 2nd Chronicles? Yeah, so we're not, I don't think, well, I don't know what we're supposed to read next. We finished 2nd Kings today. Wow, that was, I will have to look a minute. I'll mark those off later because some of them have Acts in there. So we'll do Acts tomorrow. We're going to do Acts tomorrow. Finish the book of Acts. Let me just see here what the Bible app says. We're actually, oh, yay, we're going to Jonah next. Yay, I love me some Jonah. And then Amos. Okay, so we're not going to Chronicles. Okay. So we'll finish Acts tomorrow. Then we'll be in some small books on Friday. We'll be in some small books on Thursday, Friday. So, awesome, everybody. That's awesome. All right, so I know who we're rating out. And I know some of you have already followed here. But let me get this put in there. I will be on vacation next week. So you'll be able to check out my fish while I'm on vacation. So starting on Friday, it will be a 24/7 stream for a week or more. I follow no one. No worries on that. Yeah, it's my fish. It's my fish. Yep. So you're welcome to follow that if you want. I appreciate if you do and throw a lurk in there. Yeah, I thought you followed. Yeah, you follow my fish already, Alice. I appreciate that. So that'll be going live until I can get a second computer where I can keep it 24/7. It will only be live mostly on the weekends. So I will have it set up for sunrise and or sunset. I may not be able to always update that in time. I will. My mom may move it around because she does that. But if I leave it, it'll probably be set on sunset if I don't move it to sunrise. You'll be on vacation next week too, Papsio? Awesome. Where's your invite, Alice? Well, I'm going to Mexico. Are you able to travel there on a whim? Crossing the pond's not easy. I really wish when you were in Canada it would have worked out, but maybe someday we'll connect. Yes, Mexa, no. Well, I go to Cancun now. It's becoming a regular thing in the summer. So anyway, appreciate you all. Love the conversation. Several prayer requests. Keep those in prayer. There are plenty of things to be in prayer about, and if you do need prayer, post those over in the Discord so that we can be praying for you over there as well. So, ReachCon F down there. I haven't showed you that today. That is coming up in September, and I will be there for IRL meetup. I think it's under here. But there's more stuff being posted. But if you want to meet up IRL, there are plenty of streamers who will be there. Is this the list? No, this is the ask. Okay. Is it this? I'm trying to remember which one has the list of... There it is. You can still do this if you want to join. Here's some of the people who will be at the event in Orlando coming in September. I know at least 20 of us have said yes, we will be there of the 50, and they're trying to get confirmation on the rest. But some are waiting to see if they accomplish things to be able to get their hotel and airfare paid for to be there. So if you want to go to this, if you want an IRL meetup, the code is DAPPER to get you a free ticket. You'll get a free ticket if you're going there. Yeah. Oh, well, Jade had a ticket for you. Absolutely. Any of the streamers, we all have codes to give free tickets away. So I have 50 free tickets. So if you use the code DAPPER to go, it seems like too many people to be enjoyable. I don't know if it is going to be too many people to be enjoyable, honestly, Alice. I know they're hoping for 250 people max. Yeah, exactly. That's what they had said, that we all would have it. Like, my code can be used 50 times. I believe his code can be used 50 times. They're hoping for 250 people total, but so that doesn't add up on the math. I know, but anyway, yeah. 250 is like 245 too many. Okay, that's fair enough. I don't mind a conference with that many people because I won't see them and I won't hang out with them all there. But it also means the chances of me having a conversation all the time and finding someone to hang out is going to be good. So that's in September. We'll be doing a lot of posting and stuff when that happens. You got some bad news about heaven for you. Uh-oh. What's that? So, all right. Let me go get the raid up to go. So we can get over there before prayer starts. So we might be coming in on prayer. If he started already, I don't know. So I want to get the raid started. Oh, okay. Why did the guys pick Florida? Because one of the guys who is putting it all together, Romans 10v9, is in Florida, and it was easy for him to be able to organize all of that where he lives at and make it happen there. So that's the reason for Florida, as my understanding is. Okay, let me get the raid started, or the credits so we can rate out everybody.
Dashing through pages, chronicles, gospels, prophets, sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases. Turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, self-divine, flipping scripts, endless grace you find. Psalm singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plow in the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, souls urban sound. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed.
Hey, thanks for the Betty.
Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learn and perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops, deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant sealed. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the lessons, pastor with skill.